ìjọba bá wà tí ò sí ẹ̀tọ́ tó yẹ kó ṣe fún aráàlú tí wọ́n dìbò fún tó jẹ́ ìjọba lé lórí, tíjọba bá wà tí ààbò bá sí fún aráàlú tó lóò ṣèjọba lé lórí, aráàlú dìde fúnra ẹ̀. kì í ṣe pé mo pàṣẹ àbí mo dédé pàṣẹ àbí mo kàn sọ nǹkan tí ó wá látọkàn mi. Nǹkan tó fa ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ni wípé ẹ̀yin náà wò láti bí ijọ́ mélòó kan sí bí ọ̀sẹ̀ bíi méjì sí nípa ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn Fúlàní tó wà ní gbogbo Ìbàràpá. Ẹ wo dókítà wa Dr. Fatai, PhD doctor, ọmọ Yorùbá tó kàwé tó gboyè, ó wá lọ sí lóyìnbó ní àìníye ọdún ó lọ ṣiṣẹ́, ó wá dé okòó dé, ó wá lọ lùbá ẹ̀ ní gangan, ó dá oko àgbàdo, ẹ̀gẹ́, iṣu, oríṣiríṣi nǹkan, soya beans, ó dẹ̀ gba ọmọ wa ní gangan bẹ́ẹ̀ náà síbẹ̀ rẹpẹtẹ tó ń bá a ṣiṣẹ́. Fúlàní wa jẹ oko ẹ̀, ó wá gbéra láti lọ bá àwọn Fúlàní yìí sọ̀rọ̀, láti lọ bá Sẹ́ríkì Fúlàní pé ẹ wá wo ohun tí àwọn ọmọ yín ṣe lórí oko mi, kò yẹ kó rí báyìí lórí ilẹ̀ bàbá mi. Wọ́n dẹ̀ dé lókun bẹ́ẹ̀ náà, wọ́n dẹ̀ sàpà. Àìmọye èèyàn bẹ́ẹ̀ tá a lè mórúkọ wọn làwọn Fúlàní yìí bẹ́ lórí tí wọ́n pa wọ́n. Wọ́n jí àwọn kan gbé, ẹni tí wọ́n bá gbowó tó kéré lọ́wọ́ rẹ̀ wọ́n gba 7 million, wọ́n gba 10 million, wọ́n gba 11 million lórí ilẹ̀ bàbá wa. Ọ̀rọ̀ yìí dùn mí, ó bà mí lọ́kàn jẹ́ gan. Pé tá a bá torí pé tó Ọlọ́run gbà fáwa, àwọn ará àwọn ọmọ tí tẹ̀lé wa tó ń ṣààbò fún wa, àwọn tí ọ̀lẹ́ni tí ó tẹ̀lé wọn ń kọ́. Ìdí nìyí tó mú mi lọ síbẹ̀ yẹn. Ìgbà tí mo dẹ̀ débẹ̀, ohun tí mo lọ fún ni pé láti lọ bá pé ṣé gbogbo tí ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí lórí ilẹ̀ wa sọ́dá, ẹ ti ń gbé pẹ̀lú wa, adẹ̀fàyè gbà yín, àbá yín jà, àṣe nǹkan jàǹbá fún yín. Ọ̀rọ̀ ni mò ń bá Sẹ́ríkì sọ̀rọ̀ làwọn ọmọ rẹ̀ yíyọ̀ bọ́n sí mi. Mo gba ìbọn yẹn lọ́wọ́ ìkan yọ àké àgbà, ìkejì tún yọ ìbọn mi. Ìyẹn ti ẹ̀yìn ẹni bá wọnú fídíò yẹn tó rà fídíò wọn, ó yin ìbọn yẹn sí mi kí n tó lọ́bọ̀ yẹn mọ́ lọ́wọ́. Ẹ bá gbọ́ fídíò rẹ̀ pé ìbọn bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí dáhùn bẹ́ẹ̀, wọ́n yin ìbọn sí mi ń bẹ̀ kí n tó bájà wá ẹni pípò yìí tí n bá bájà wá ẹ̀ ní dúró. Tẹ́ ẹ bá ti wá lè wá àtúnṣe sí ọ̀rọ̀ jíjígbé àti pípa àwọn ẹ̀gbọ́n wa àtàwọn àǹtí wa, àwọn bọ̀dá wa àtàwọn ìyá mi àtàwọn bàbá mi tẹ́ẹ̀jẹ̀ wọn olóko mọ́ yé o. Ó fẹ́ tàkẹ́ forí lẹ̀ bàbá wa lẹ̀. Ọ̀rọ̀ bá ń fà yìí sọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀sìn kí sọ̀rọ̀ ọjà. Àwọn kan gbé wọ́n fẹ́ pa àwọn mùsùlùmí, kí lọ́kàn mi kan mùsùlùmí, kí lọ́kàn mi kan kírísítẹ̀, kí lọ́kàn mi kan. Gbogbo táwọn ń fà yìí èmi ò nídìí kankan, àlàáfíà Yorùbá ni mò ń wá, mi ń fẹ́ kankan bẹ́ẹ̀. Wọ́n dúnkokò tọ́pọ̀ jù. Wọ́n dúnkokò ntọ́lọ́run, táwọn tí ń dúnkokò náà mọ̀ pé àwọn ń dúnkokò mọ́ mi. Ṣùgbọ́n ohun tí èyí jẹ́ kí ẹ̀rù bà mí ni pé ó ń bẹ nínú Bíbélì pé tíyẹn bá ń jà fún ẹ̀tọ́ ẹ̀ lórí nǹkan bàbá rẹ̀ tó bá kú síbẹ̀ kò sí nǹkan kan. Torí pé mo mọ̀ pé gbogbo nǹkan tó ń ṣe yẹn fúngbà díẹ̀ ni. Wọ́n dúnkokò àti bí ìjẹ́ ẹni tọ́rọ̀ ti ṣẹlẹ̀ ẹ̀sìn ni wọ́n ti ń pè mí, àwọn fẹ́ wá, wọ́n máa arrest mi, wọ́n ti ń sẹ́ni mẹ́sẹ̀jì oríṣiríṣi pé wọ́n fẹ́ wá gbé mi nílé. Ẹ̀rù kankan ò sì bà mí. Gbogbo àwọn ọba tó wà bẹ̀ pátápátá inú wọn dùn, wọ́n sì fọwọ́ sí pé ìyà tí ń jẹ àwọn etí tó àwọn òfin Fúlàní lórí ilẹ̀ bàbá wọn mọ́, pípa ti tó, àwọn tí wọ́n ń pa iná làwọn jọba lé lórí. Tí fídíò sì wà, àwọn ọba gan ni wọ́n ń pè mí pé ìyà tí ń jẹ àwọn yìí ti tó, àwọn tí wọ́n ń pa àwọn ọmọ àwọn tó ń pa yìí lọ́jọ́ ọ̀la àwọn náà làwọn sì jọba lé lórí. Ó ti tó bẹ́ẹ̀. Kò sí àgbààgbà Yorùbá tínú rẹ̀ dùn sí pé kò sínú àgbà ẹ̀rù ń bà wọ́n náà ni, ẹ̀rù ń bà wọ́n bàbá wa ni. Inú tí wọ́n ní òdùn bí wọ́n ṣe ń pa wá, bí Fúlàní ṣe ń jí wa gbé tó ń gbowó lálá lọ́wọ́ wa níwọ̀n òdùn. Ṣùgbọ́n ẹ̀rù ń bà wọ́n kán bá àmọ́ yọ wọ́n nípò bí tí wọ́n wà. Sẹ́wọ̀n wípé nígbà tí wọ́n ń jí àwọn aráàlú gàngàn gbé tí wọ́n ń pa wọ́n, tẹ́nì kankan sọ̀rọ̀. Ń bọ̀ ya wọ́n lọ jí ọmọ ọba gàngàn gbé, ọmọ ọba tí ń bẹ lórí yẹn gàngàn lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́, wọ́n jí ọmọ bàbá gàngàn gbé fúnra ẹ̀ tó fọ́kó díẹ̀ bí wọ́n sì gba 4 million lọ́wọ́ bàbá kan tó gbọ́ ọmọ bàbá fún bàbá àwọn Fúlàní. Torí pé ń bọ̀ ọba ya ayé ti gba àwọn Fúlàní ìdèbí pé wọ́n wá gbé ọba fúnra ẹ̀ nú ààfin, wọ́n nìkan lọ kí gbogbo aráàlú lọ dáwọ́ jọ. Àwa Yorùbá sì sùn a sì dákẹ́ a sì sọ̀rọ̀ àwọn bàbá wa dẹ̀ dákẹ́.
Well, happy Sunday and happy Easter Sunday. We are live on the transmission, the last day of the month of March. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI. Moki Yatobimilomo. I've been a little bit busy behind the scene. As you all know, I also have a family to look after. But notwithstanding, we also have a work to do. Let me first appreciate Professor Adebanji Akitoye, the leader of the Yoruba Self-Determination and the deputy of the YSDM and all the members of Ilano, both home and abroad. Molobe Mokibubu Omwegbe Patapata Nibubu Bitulukalukuwa as we continue our campaign. We are not part of the Ominira 2022, the dark woman, Otutu Sorolano. I was privileged to have listened to everything, nothing serious about what she said. But again, it's good that we just keep an eye on, see what she's talking about. Let me first appreciate those of you that are celebrating your birthday. This is a special one to Mr. Olajide Ajikobi, Lara, our brother, Wanini Ilu. Kamatu Sabitawa Kama Fifonu Leon, but he's not in Nigeria, I can tell you that. But Lati Ijomu ni Oro ni Kwara State ni Watiwa Mokibu Bawatia to celebrate the birthday. As we're going into the month of April, please be very careful. Yoruba nation is not yet a country. Don't get into April Fool. Come as of country Lola. There's nothing called Yoruba nation as a country yet, but it's still something that we are working towards under one leadership. Yes, there's a lot of people that wants to be leader. You have the right to be a leader, but the only leader that is leading this, very, very important movement is Professor Adebanji Akitoye. Any other person, they have the right as well, but it is just that their right remains within the confinement of what they are doing. So as I say all the time on this platform, this is not a platform that, encourage violence, but we believe that sometimes you might have to use violence to get what you want, because violence was used, when they were, amalgamating Nigeria in 1914. So I don't want us to be very scared, when we talk about things that sometimes could be like, a little bit heat up. I think many people take it very, very too personal. There's nothing for us to be scared. Omo Koniwa. As we set into the program, I sent greetings to every one of you. If you're new on the platform, share the program. If you can support voluntarily, do as well. What we talk about here on this platform, focus only on self-determination. Mokiamo Yawomi, Mokiamo Momi, Mokibubu Amo Ijebu, de Patapata, Mokibubu Amo Mba Koiki, Nile ati Loko, Moki Easy, in Miami. And I say shout out to each and every one of you. So settling, we're just gonna bump around. I don't have much topic. It's just the same thing. Yoruba nation is what we believe in. But many Yoruba people think like, Dr. Kiyomi Adeshina. If you haven't watched the program, I expect you to go and watch it so that you can be able to see what he was saying there. Let's start with my intro.
Koikimedia, we're bringing the world closer to your doors.
Koikimedia, we bringing the world closer to your doorstep. Koikimedia, we bringing the world closer to your doorstep. I was a lot of Ìgbéde lárugẹ nílẹ̀ Oòduà o, àwa gangan ni bàbá. Koikimedia, we bringing the world closer to your doorstep. They never sabi wetin we carry for her, but we dey move closer before dem go sabi. I said they never know wetin we carry for body, but they move closer before they go sabi. Ọ̀kìn lọ lọ́jà ẹyẹ ni ń lo ló lọ́jọ́. Ẹyẹ tó dorí kodò bí àdán ọgbẹ́jẹ lẹ́nu. ká ṣiṣẹ́ fún ilẹ̀ bàbá wa, ká ṣiṣẹ́ fún ìlú bàbá wa, ká jùmọ̀ sowọ́pọ̀ ká lè gbódúdú àga. Òdúdú wọn kò bá lè gbé wá. Ọmọ Odùduwà ṣe kiri. Ẹ dìde fún ẹ̀kọ́ adúláwọ̀. Ká lè jọ jùmọ̀ gbé ilẹ̀ ìlérí. Káwa lè gba ògo ilẹ̀ wa. Ká ṣiṣẹ́ ká lè jọ gbàdé. Ká lè gbàdé adé adúláwọ̀. Àwa ni ìmọ̀lẹ̀ tí yóò tàn káàkiri. Ìyàwó Odùduwà ni wá. Koikimedia, àwa là ń gbé tó lárugẹ. Ètò tó bójú owó tiwa máa ní. Àṣà ẹgbẹ́ polówó ọjà wa kájé gbúgbà yín jẹ. Ètò tó bójú owó tiwa máa ní. À ń gbé tó lárugẹ, à ń gbàsà lárugẹ. Ètò tó bójú owó tiwa máa ní. News and sports ẹ máa rí gbọ́. Ètò tó bójú owó. Ọmọ Ìjẹ̀bú alárẹ̀ ni ló ní kí n máa ké tata. Koikimedia ọ̀rọ̀ lágbájúmọ̀ mi máa bá ṣẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ. Ọmọ Yorùbá nìyẹn, ọmọ Yorùbá tata o. Àǹkádùn rẹ ọmọ Ìjẹ̀bú alárẹ̀ mi ṣé ń lọ máa fi dìbò ọ̀bẹ mọ́lẹ̀. Ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ níbo máa ń lè máa lè. Ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ níbo máa wọ̀. Igbó máa wọ̀ sájòjì ò gbọ́dọ̀ wọ. Àjòjì tó bá wọn bẹ̀ á tẹ̀lé ní bọ́ra. Ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ náwó òyìnbó tó dé. Ìgbà tó yìnbó dé o, owó náà dẹ́kun pọ̀ sí o. Koikimedia sáwa ní bàbá. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Àtàtọ̀ àtòpèrè gidi. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Àwa là ń gbé tó lárugẹ jẹ́ ká dọ́gbọ́ o. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Àkúnjà fẹ́tọ̀ ilẹ̀ wa, fẹ́tọ̀ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Ọmọ Oòduà ni wá o. Lọ́kọ̀ọ̀kan. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Ikú tí ó ṣe bí lébi òsì, àdìmú bàbá yọ. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. We bring in closer to your doorstep. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Afẹ́fẹ́ tó ń fẹ́ odò kan kí o kò lára ni. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Àpèrè gèdè Olódùmarè ló fún wa ṣe. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Gbogbo ayé ẹ̀gbọ́n, àwa ní bàbá o. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Ẹ máa bọ̀ wá ẹgbẹ́ polówó ọjà yín wá. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Odùduwà lágbèdá ní òtítọ́ lágbèdá ní. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Àkìsọ̀dálẹ̀ àkìsọ̀díkẹta. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Àdúrótán àtúpèrè gèdè. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Koikimedia we bring you one closer to your doorstep. Àwọn ní bàbá. Koikimedia is around to give us latest. Is around to give us latest. Ladies and gentlemen, ẹ mú kalẹ̀ sílẹ̀, ẹ tẹ́tí ẹ gbọ́ ètò tó kojú gbogbo. Ladies and gentlemen, ẹ mú kalẹ̀ sílẹ̀, ẹ tẹ́tí ẹ gbọ́ ètò tó kojú gbogbo. Koikimedia is around to give us latest.
Moki gbogbo alẹ́ nǹkan ṣe, I say good evening and happy Easter Sunday. It's the last day of the month of March, so that means we are 3 months away from this beautiful 2024.
The cost of fuel has gone up. Food and other prices have followed it. Households and businesses struggling. Things seem anxious and uncertain. I understand the hardship you face. I wish there were other ways, but there's not.
Maybe when we break away from Nigeria, there could be some other ways. Let's listen to this. Once again, a shout out to my uncle, a brother, Mr. Olajide Ajiko B, celebrating his birthday today, all the way in the other part of the world. Omodu Atata ni won ni Ijumu Oro, ni Kwara State, but he's not in Nigeria. Shout out to you all the way from Koikimedia. Settle into the program and let us crack on again. It's a Sunday. It's a beautiful day. The weather is changing in London. The time has actually changed in London. What a beautiful time to be alive. So many things is happening around the world, but our focus is in Nigeria, a country that was put together, for a purpose, and that purpose has expired. But it seems that, some individuals, groups of people, does not want that country to be taken away. Moki Omode, Moki Agbalagba, Moki Yinibi Tietin Darapọ̀ mọ́ wa, and as I always say, we remain focused and we try as much as possible to educate many of you. I do watch other programs as well, and I believe I met a couple of our regulars here when I was watching, Daily Farotimi earlier, about a few hours in the morning. I do also follow development. I can tell you that there's a message from the King and the Queen of England, or United Kingdom, not England. And the message goes like this. King Charles, that has also attended the Easter Sunday church. Remember that there's a confirmation now that he has a cancer. So we continue to pray and hope that he recover back in a good health. This will be his first public appearance since he revealed his cancer diagnosis to the world. The king is 75 years old, with the Queen Camilla and so many other senior royals that attended the annual service at St. George's Chapel in Windsor. A modified Easter Sunday schedule has reportedly been put together for the king to maintain his health and not place him under too much strain. When you don't have good health, there's not much you can do, but we continue to pray that he gets good health. So Moki Bugwale Nkosi, as you're coming into the program, I can see many of you and many of you that will watch it later as well. So let me appreciate a couple of you before we dive into the conversation again this evening. Shout out to Alau Baba. They are listening to us on the MixLR. MixLR is an audio version that allows you to monitor and watch what I'm doing without seeing me physically. It's quite cheaper. In case you don't know, I'll be sharing the link out in case you want to switch around. I do not do freebies of internet yet, but I pray that one day we will have access to a full internet service when we eventually get out of a country that have deprived you of freedom. As we continue the campaign for the Yoruba people to exit Nigeria, we continue to maintain the status quo, that nobody can stop the vision that we've now found out that we are better off away from Nigeria. Many people do not agree with us. They have the right not to agree with us, But the most important thing is, and the question is, for how long are we going to be living in denial? Many people understand that the current state of things in Nigeria is not working, but yet they are pushing the agenda to keep Nigeria together. Somebody like Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, the African Development Bank, through the analysis we did yesterday. They are also suggesting a new name for Nigeria, maybe United States of Nigeria. The center is not holding, but yet many people are planning to hold on to that center. Mokiba Bawa Abami, Mokiawa Teresa, Mr. Kendi Adeyemi, Mokini Bubu Ibarakba, Mejeje, Moki Dr. Chief Sunday Omadeyemo Igbowosha, Moki Gubu Awontoje Cabinet Officers one. Moki the Yoruba World Media, a shout out to also the home-based media under the leadership of Baba Ikiti. Moki Gubu Koikimedia team, and I send a greetings from here to London to as many of you that are going to be watching me today as you do all the time. If you write anything that I picked up and you tell me to come back home, I will curse you, I will curse your father. Please do not tell me on my program not to curse. If you're not comfortable with that, there's so many things happening on the social media and you have the right to walk away from this platform. If you call me name, I will call your father, I will call your mother, then I will block you. Shout out to Babawa Shitu Omoumi. We are streaming on multiple platforms, and I also have privilege to stream on 2 platforms that is called the Yoruba Nation Afonja TV and Imole Yoruba. It's a privilege that they've given me access to that page. So Mosokwe, Mr. Wasiu Adeshokan, happy Sunday. Obeledumare Nikoni Oga, I am not Oga anybody. I am just a servant doing the job I love to do best. If I was living in Nigeria, I might probably disagree with so many things people are saying as well, but I am not living in Nigeria. That means I have been exposed to so many things in the 24 years I have left Nigeria. And what do I mean by that? I understand what freedom is. I understand every details of my utterances, and the British government will not be able to do anything. And if they try to, we will fight it at the court of law. But one thing is, Britain knew that the Yoruba people are very, very highly intelligent, but yet they kept us together with crazy people that have taken us 60, 200 years backwards. Nigeria is not about leadership. Nigeria has passed its due date. Tó bá jẹ oúnjẹ tí ó ti expire nílùú yìí, even after you have been told that the expiry date is so 31st of March 2024, you are expected to throw away that food without consuming it again. What we are presently consuming today in Nigeria means that we are eating something that has expired. A lot of you at home tend to call me different kind of names. I understand. You have not been privileged all your life to live a better life. I have lived a better life before I left Nigeria because I have a privilege to be born in a silver spoon house. Even though I never know my dad, but my dad had his own contribution to the community while he was alive. He was never involved in politics, neither was my mom. I was born in an environment that means that I study from a private primary school up to a very good public school known as Abeokuta Grammar School. And I remember when I finished in 1995, I told my mom I wanted to go to Unilag. For whatever she saw, I'm grateful that I never did. She ended up saying it was a waste of time to attend any university in Nigeria, that I should prepare myself to join her in UK, which I did after 3 years of my secondary school. Mokibabawa Ganil Gafar, Akim Ayodele, happy weekend to you as well. As we move into more callings of different of you that have joined us, Just Raising, good evening to you. Mr. Adekunle A, good evening to you. Alade Shakiru, Arole Odudua, shout out to those of you. Meadows Anibaba. I had the privilege to take a course in computer just very close to I-Court, Igboshere, and that gave me the privilege into a bit of computing. It was quite expensive because computer is not what we have where you can use your phone for so many things. Sparkling Ozi, good evening to you. Okoya Falanya, good evening to you. Shout out to Ogunla Biodun, happy Easter. Big Sam Favor, Mokibugbo Intewani Laro, Atibugbo Ojaodon. A shout out to many of you that will be joining. Iyawa Rukaya Tomawomi, Waris Jinodu. 1 year I studied computer called Robertson Computer College. And in 1998, I traveled out of Nigeria through Gatwick Airport. It was a privilege, you know, flying out of Nigeria. I was very young. And that literally means that in 24 years of living in this country, from what we've learned, living here through a very tedious immigration rules, it means that for 15 years, I was not allowed to travel out of this country because I didn't have the right requirement to travel out. Then after 2015, I came back to Nigeria. And as everybody knows, there's a lot of things that has happened in Nigeria, and there's still a lot that would happen. From 2015 to date, I don't think anything has changed, apart from more poverty, more problem, apart from many of you that have not been given access to freedom. We are now asking for that freedom, that everybody can enjoy the same thing that I enjoy in 24 years in UK, but a lot of you at home refuse to accept it. And I can understand the reason why you don't want to accept it. You've been told lies for a very long time. Prince John Taiwo Olawuyi, good evening, sir. Salami Benga, good evening and welcome. Mr. Adetola Sheyi Oloyede, good evening. Shout out to many of you that have joined us on Instagram. Twitter, I say good evening and welcome. Shout out to my Biafra brothers and sisters. And shout out to the Arewas. I don't have issues with the Awusas. I don't have issues with the Igbos. But I have issues with that name called Nigeria after we understood better what I did not know. Many of you have asked argument that what does it mean that each time we all go out of Nigeria and we live outside Nigeria, we tend to condemn Nigeria. I can tell you that I was not one of those that was condemning Nigeria, at least up to some extent. I participated just like an average Nigerian in UK. I played my role as a good citizen. And in 24 years I've lived in this country, I've never involved myself in any criminality. So that means I did represent Nigeria to some extent, that there was no tag on me. Mokiba OLAKUNLE Shita. But the question we should ask tonight is, why have I changed and so many other individuals that we've now see Nigeria as an obstacle, impediment? Why? Have you ever asked yourself, is it because I've not been given access to the government? Is it because I don't have a good income? Is it because I don't have access to the oil wealth? No. It's because we've now understood better what we never understood for a very long time. Up till when I left Nigeria, I did not know who Lord Lugard was. And I'm sure many of you as well. But today, millions of Yoruba people, old, young, now know the name Lugard. because Lugard was one that was working on behalf of the British colony in 1913 up to the amalgamation of Nigeria in 1914. A lot of things that were kept away from us, we started revealing it. And that literally means that we understood better what we did not for a very long time. And we can give glory to people like Professor Adebanji Akintoye, an historian that took us back. And I got a call from Bishop Adeshina just before I came on air. And I haven't spoken to Baba Akintoye, but we met on the last broadcast, I guess, 24 hours ago during the Yoruba World Media outing. But one thing we have been able to understand better from Baba Akintoye is that he has told us categorically that any sons and daughters of Yoruba that is trying his best to fix Nigeria is wasting their time. But our politicians are not going to listen to us because they are part of the problem. Our politicians are part of the evil that has kept us in the bondage and the shackles of what is known as Nigeria. And that literally means that many of us today that disagree that we should break away from Nigeria is because what your politicians are telling you is that we should stay in Nigeria. It will be of benefit for every single one of us. And I can understand why many of you are against the dissolution of Nigeria, even though your life has not been better since 1999. Many of you have lived in abject poverty, while some of you have tasted wealth through crime that you've done, because Nigeria is a crime country where all kind of crime is tolerated, but only the rich get away with the crime while the poor suffer the injustice against them. So what we are offering is a complete freedom. But many of you don't want that freedom because your freedom itself is no longer in your hands. And this is the reason why some of you, we would have to force you into this movement at some point. But it is understandable that for 63 years, we have been told the same thing by the set of corrupt politicians that have stayed longer and they refuse to die. Obasanjo, Gowon, and many of our leaders that continue to tell us that there is hope in Nigeria. And as many Nigerians today think that that hope is going to come one day, I was in that train as well. But I have finally come out of that train that Nigeria is going to be a great country. If you are listening to the Europeans that Nigeria will be a great country, you are wasting all your effort in this world. The Europeans are the same set of people that came to Africa and destroyed who we are today, change our mindset, remove our culture, took away our language. So if you're still thinking that the Europeans that came into that continent during the slave trade are now telling you that Nigeria, the most populous black nation, will have a better opportunity, you are wasting your time. Shout out to Mr. Yodeji Idowu, and many of you that are joining us. I'll be meeting up with you as we continue into the program. Why do we want Yoruba nation? Why not Nigeria? As Mr. Adekunle said, the Europeans are saying that to delay us, it is a phantom hope. The Europeans understood who we are better than us. They understand our capacity. They understand our strength. And the moment that that strength is divided, it will be difficult to fight them. We're also dealing with a spiritual warfare because for a very long time, we have now been told that we are who we are not. How can a continent that has vast amount of resources from Congo to Sierra Leone, Niger, how do we become poor? It's not because you have bad leaders. It's because the control is to keep us below. The moment we come out of Nigeria as different nations, things will move swiftly. Development will start getting to those areas that you've never seen development in a very long time. Our life will get better, and we can decide whether we want to live in Europe, Asia, or we want to stay at home. The reason why many of us are not staying at home today is because home is no longer conducive for us. It has become a terrible place to live. Believe whatever you want to believe in the contraction, then you are already a dead man or woman. Mukialaja Ayike Mura Dayo. Once again, a very good evening and welcome. The Yoruba people are capable, but our capacity and the capability is no longer working in Nigeria. We have our governors, we have our politicians, our representatives, but they are not giving us exactly what we want. Is because Nigeria is holding them back. Lagos, as an example, should be competing with United Arab Emirates as a country of its own. Lagos should be competing with New York, Chicago, and many other cities around the world. But Lagos has been pulled back because we are involved in what is known as Nigeria. The day Yoruba people pull out officially from Nigeria, you realize that the speed of sound and the technology, the economy, the policies that will work for us, the policies in Nigeria today is not working for you and me because it is not designed to work for us. The policies are designed for those to continue to suppress the minorities. Even though we are the majority in Nigeria, at least, but we have been kept behind the bar. Almost every Yoruba sons and daughters, rich, poor, are living in a prison in Nigeria. But most of you don't know that. And I'll give you a cool example. Many of the wealthy Yoruba men and women travel with a lot of escort. You might want to ask why. Why do they travel with a lot of escort security? It's because they're living in a prison where you might attack them if you have the privilege to get close to them. So Nigeria is another prison that has kept every single one of us. There's always argument that when we break away from Nigeria, there will be problems among us. But there was never a problem as much as how we were living in the past. We have issues, just like the Germans have issues. The English have issues, just like the Scottish, the Spanish, the Italians, the Portuguese, the Argentinas. Many countries around the world today also have problems, and they're dealing with their problems internally because they speak the same language and they understand each other. In 24 hours that Air Peace flew to London, you need to go on the social media and see the backlash that shows that we are not one. And the reason is because as much as we pretend to be one, we are never one and we can never be one. We can be having our differences, But the true meaning of unity is not in Nigeria, but we are forcing each other to find that unity. If Air Peace was working as a Biafra airline, I would prefer to go with that airline if giving me a better discount than a Yoruba airline. And I will not complain about their outfit. Like I said, Air Peace came, and I'm not advertising for them because I'm not being paid and I'm not their brand ambassador. But I'm just telling you how the social media has gone against that airline because of the outfit that the staff has put on. Some Yorubas are not comfortable with it. They believe it's an Igbo airline. That is kind of what we are dealing with, that many of you need to start accepting that we are not one. And it's a matter of time before everything goes exploded. But we can control that now if we pull out from Nigeria and we start having competition among us. Because it will be a very good thing to see Air Peace having multiple airline or aircraft, also as the Yoruba will start having theirs as well. Even though I looked at the chart of those employed by Air Peace, I can see that it's a mixture of as many Yorubas, but it seems that some are still not comfortable with the outfit of what the staff were putting on because it wasn't really representing Nigeria, quote and unquote, that Air Peace says it represents. I didn't see it from the point when I look at the outfit until when I started looking at what people were saying. So these are so many differences of who we are that we are trying to live in denial. Mr. Ayodeji always says, truth is bitter. I know many people will hate you for telling the truth, but with you, because we know the truth, God got your back, able brother. And this is just one out of many problems that we encounter. The Yorubas are not feeling comfortable with the Igbos in the Southwest because we're told that the Southeast do not allow others to buy land. That is the information that so many people have said. I've never been there before. Just like the English are not comfortable with me living here in the last 24 years because of racism. And if I go back to at least cases that I met when I came to this country, there was a particular one that was very hit up, and I'm trying to remember, not Damilola Taylor. There was one as well that had to do with a young black man that was murdered by 2 English or 3. I hope somebody will remind me the name. So if you think that because I live here, the English respect me, well, some of them, but not every one of them, even up to job application. Stephen Lawrence, thank you so much. You need to go back and look at what led to the death of Stephen Lawrence in this country. So many of us will be like that when we see people that are encroaching our territory, like we believe the Igbos are doing. But all that can still be managed if we have our country where I have been able, due to the fact that I refused to go back to Nigeria 24 years ago when I came here. I went through the legal process. I submitted an application to the Home Office to live here. And it was an argument to whether I will be allowed to live here or not, and that took 15 years. But today in the Southwest, I am not talking about the Igbos because the Igbos are part of Nigeria. I'm not talking about the Hausas, but I'm not talking about even some of the Fulanis, but I am talking about individuals that have come into our territory that end up creating havoc, like the bomb blast in Ibadan on the 16th of January this year, 2024. That led to 3 people, quote and unquote, were killed with many properties damaged. One of those that died live in UK, travel to Ghana. The mother lives here. He eventually wanted to visit Nigeria, just like many of us. Things happen in life, accident happened. He got caught up. He died. Kende Toluwalashe, may your soul rest in peace. But what I'm trying to explain to us is that for me to have lived in this environment means that I have to accept the rules and regulations to live here as a foreigner. But we have so many foreigners that are living with us that nobody can account for who they are. And these are the jihadis, the terrorists that was created for a mission. And that mission is working already. The mission to make sure that Nigeria will not be governed properly, regardless of whoever is there. It will even become more terrible because we now have Bola Tinubu, quote and unquote, not a Yoruba president, but a Yoruba man that has taken the realms affairs of Nigeria. Let's take it back again one more to Stephen Lawrence. Who was he and what happened to him? Because I understand the feelings of the Yorubas that are not comfortable with the Igbos in Nigeria. But should we get our nation? We will still have some of them that will live with us, but under the regulation and the constitution of a Yoruba government. We will control everything. For over 1 hour, I was watching how they were preparing for the coronation of King Charles, the behind the scene. Stephen Lawrence was a black teenager who lived in Plumstead in southeast London. But something happened on the 22nd of April, 1993, 5 years before I came to this country. Stephen Lawrence was killed in a racist attack by a gang of white men. And I'm quoting BBC website as I'm reading right now. The tension in Nigeria will continue to become violent because we are not one, but we are pretending to be one. We are living in denial to accept that what led to the creation of Nigeria was not in the interest of the indigenous people. And until we remind ourselves that we are all of different caliber. We have the Igbos that are in drugs, just as we have the Yorubas that are in fraud, just as we have the Hausas that have their own crime. Every country, every ethnic, every indigenous people have different crimes committed. His younger brother, Stuart, is using one of the darkest times for their family to make a difference. Stuart has written a book called Growing Up Black in Britain. Many of our children today are still experiencing what Stephen Lawrence experienced some almost 30 years ago. If we come out of Nigeria, we can start building a society where we can decide to move as much of the diaspora children out of the European system that has not worked for us. Because the European system is not who we are. We are Africans, but Yoruba first. Our immune system is different from the immune system of this country. We have not been able to adapt to this country. Even some of us have lived there for 40 years. Is because this is not where we are meant to be. But we continue to live in denial when we have the diaspora that are not looking at the future of their children in this country. Many of our children, we should start thinking of them in the next decades and decades to come. Some of them are growing very fast. They're going into their 18 years old. Some of them have become 32, 42. Some of them doesn't even know your own local government back in Ekiti, Ondo, Ogun, or your Lagos. Probably even those that live or travel to Lagos have never been. Waris Zinado said there's now also the rise of the British Defense League. Muki Alaja, Mukiyawa Sherifat Agbabiaka. Peter Jones, thank you for watching. When are we going to accept the truth? The British Empire would never tell you that Nigeria has come to the expiry date. I'm not sure whether the diaspora are concerned about the future of their children living here in UK. But I am already worried. In 1993, just as many of our children are also studying here in UK that we are proud of with a very sound education compared to many of you that would end up traveling here to spend huge amount of money if you do not have the right requirement to live here. That means you'll be classified as a foreigner and you'll be expected to pay international fee. My children will not pay that. I have sacrificed for that purpose. And that is the reason why I have lived here for 24 years. But your children that might want to come and study in this very beautiful environment and a well system, they would end up paying thousands of pounds. Olivia said, I am in support of an independent autonomous Igbo land, and likewise is also in support of an independent autonomous Yoruba land. We can't continue like this, and that's a fact. Mokiba Baba Jimo Adeoshun. Many of us today, and I'm now speaking directly to the diaspora here in UK and around the world. In 1993, Stephen Lawrence was just 18 years old when he was killed by white young men like him. It was a racist attack. And that is still happening today. And we have so much knife crime in this country. Welcome to the program, Pastor Mo. You_innovate. Mrs. Maria 1707, good evening, ma'am. Birthday of London 2000, thank you. I can't see those of you on the Twitter. I will have appreciate you all. Mr. Gbadamosi Smiler, happy Easter to every one of us. Just as many of our children are preparing to study for A-level, Stephen Lawrence wanted to be an architect when he was older. He lived with his mom, Doreen, and his dad, Neville, with the brother Stuart and his sister, Georgina. But something went wrong that shouldn't have happened. But it happened because we are those that have been taken away from a particular beautiful continent for thousands of years as slaves, which Church of England was involved, and many other countries around the world, including United Kingdom, Portugal, Italy, and many countries, because we were used for a purpose that was cheaper for them as slaves. Today, we are now asking every sons and daughters of Yoruba to wake up from this bondage and work together in one uniform and demand for one thing and one thing alone, that Nigeria needs now the courage to dissolve peacefully. It does not need to have any killing of each other. We don't have to attack each other. We can literally have this dissolution and still become friends of other countries, like UK left European Union. But I can tell you that millions of UK still travel to European countries for holiday purposes, even though the union ended in 2016 without one bullet. Why then should Africa want to be different if we are saying that we are no longer interested to the union that was created on our behalf? Why should that be an issue? It's an issue because there's an hidden agenda to keep us together under this entity, a corporate entity known as Nigeria. A very good evening to you, Olanikwekun Wealthy Plenty. Let's go back again to Stephen Lawrence. Simon O. Adebisi, Unleashing All Directions, Compass and Direction. Kopman, thank you so much for watching. Mr. Deshoya Akinwumi, good evening and welcome. Remilekun Adeleye, good evening. To all the Christians around the world, I say happy Easter Sunday, and to all the Muslims, I hope we're all looking forward to the end of Ramadan. Jimon Rasak says they are criminals that are trying to force Nigeria on us. Ogumola Comrade Plan B said, maybe you should go out and come back again. Somebody said there's no sound. Okay. And that is on the mix LR. Please go out and come back again, as Ogumola said. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI. I am just one out of the many campaigners that believe that Nigeria now needs the courage to dissolve peacefully so that it doesn't become another civil war. Mr. Dewu Sewolabi, good evening, sir. Mokibugbayi Babawa, Yawa, Tendara Pomowa. I will do a lot of Yoruba in the conversation, but please let me stick to the English because I'm also communicating to the people around the world. The Yorubas wants to go. We've had enough of the racism in this country. We have been taken backwards for too long. Majority of us do not have access to our families that have been taken away because they can't give them visa to get to this country. You might say that we should return back home. But the question is, the home is not designed for the future of who we are. It has come to its expiry, and we must accept and allow it to break, dissolve, disintegration. Something terrible happened to Stephen Lawrence. On the 22nd of April, Stephen Lawrence was killed by a gang of white men in a racist attack. That is still happening today. He had been waiting for a bus with a friend when the gang attacked him. Stephen's friend escaped unhurt, but Stephen Lawrence died from his injuries. The Lawrence family met with the former South African President Nelson Mandela soon after he died. Why are we forcing ourselves in a union that's bringing bloodshed on a daily basis? Mukiawa Ifa Diwa Temple, UK. Why are we forcing ourselves in a union that does not represent who we are as Yoruba people? Why have we refused to accept that we are not exactly who we are told we are through a fraudulent identity that has been taken away from us? Our culture, our beliefs, our ways of lives have been affected. Stephen Lawrence death, police started to investigate the suspect who they believe were responsible for the attack. We are dealing with the issues of understanding what the whole project Nigeria is all about. And for every day we come out, we understand that this project has failed the real innocent souls that have the right to live. Over 28,000 Yoruba people died in 8 years of the former President Muhammadu Buhari, dead or alive, the saddest. Let's move forward into the conversation as we're 8 minutes past 8. Once again, my name is OLAYOMI KOIKI. Yoruba nation is a movement, just like the Welsh movement, the Scottish movement, and many movements around the world. Mukiawa, Omolara, Iyabo, Ajala, Ekabo Sorieto. We have the aspiration to become on top of the world. But this evil world wants to hold us back, and it's entirely up to us to take back what belongs to us. And the only way we can do that is what we are doing right now, to educate and ask questions why we are where we are today. And as Baba Akintoye wrote in the manual of the Yoruba self-determination struggle for all the Yoruba self-determination advocates at home and in the diaspora, is a 35-page that I expect many of you to go and read on my website, if you have the privilege to, towards the Yoruba self-determination. The Yoruba nation, the Yoruba people have now chooses the noble path to its noble goal. Our noble path is no longer in Nigeria. And when I say the noble path, the territory belongs to us, but the name does not belong to us. The name was given to us by the English people under Lugard with a fraudulent amalgamation 110 years ago. It is time now that we say we've had enough of this name that has become a stigma that doesn't represent us within Africa and within Europe and Asia. If the name dissolves and we attain new names, we will have relationship just as Nigeria have. The only difference is there will be more embassies with different nations within Nigeria for those that wants to work with each of those nations. It is possible. It is doable. UK will have 3 embassies, one in the north, one in the southeast, one in the southwest. It's as simple as that. We will still have the same relationship with them, but not under the fraudulent 1914 amalgamation that Britain created for a reason known to them alone. Following is a guide or manual for the use of all the Yoruba patriots. Just the introduction. I'm going to read alone from that. Yoruba nation chooses the noble path to its noble goal towards the Yoruba self-determination. All Yoruba patriots engage in the struggle for the Yoruba self-determination. It supplies to all supporters of the self-determination struggle the kind of information that they will need to prosecute the struggle and supply guide to the struggle strategies and method. The first thing is to educate the Yoruba people about the reasons behind why Nigeria was put together and why we need to untangle it today so that we can have a future ahead. It has been done before. In 1965, Malaysia, Singapore were one entity, but Singapore decided to move on away from that union, and the world did not crash. This was 5 years after the fraudulent independence of Nigeria in 1960. And when you look at Malaysia today, you realize that they've gone surpass where Nigeria is. Those of you watching us on Instagram, we have about 153 minutes. So I'll end it and come back because Instagram is not giving us a full 1 hour or 2 hours as it used to do in the past. I don't know why. So I'm going to end it and come back again. Once again, my name is OLAYOMI KOIKI, and this is Koikimedia, bringing the world closer to your doorsteps. Please share the program and comment as much. As I say, I'll be reading as many of your comments as we go into the discussion again tonight. Do not be deceived that there is still future in Nigeria. The future has finally come to an end, and we must accept the truth and nothing but the truth. Happy Easter from our mother, a grandmother, Omolara Iyabajala, to everyone on this platform. Though this manual was motivated in the context of one main organization, Ilana Omo Odudua or Ilana Omo Odua, it is meant to be a fighting manual for all persons and organizations that are engaged in the struggle for the Yoruba self-determination and sovereignty. Welcome to you, my brother, Mr. Kunle Dayo Yomi. Great Yoruba Nation, thanks for joining. Very importantly, it is based on the fundamental character of the Yoruba nation as a civilization-building nation. We have always been a civilized people before the European came to destroy everything. Yeah, there's an issue again. We're still resolving that with the MixLR. Bear with us. Hopefully, as we go into the new month, that will be resolved. Yeah, I can see that the MixLR has come to an end. When people tell us that we are not civilized, tell them that before the Portuguese exploration in Nigeria, the Portuguese exploration of Africa, and let me give you some kind of background to that. Between 1444 and 1447, the Portuguese explored the coast of Senegal, the same Senegal that is now fighting back the France for keeping them below par with the new president, and we pray for his long life as he drives Senegal into the path of what they are. Again, I'll take that again. Between 1444, that's 14th century, as at that time, the Yoruba people have been in existence. We have done so much great things, and we are still doing great things. Between 1444 and 1447, there was nothing called Nigeria as at that time. It was the empire, the Oyo Empire. We were very civilized. We were looking after children, women. We were taking care of our borders. We were using the little resources that we have access to develop and build a society that works for us, until the Europeans came to destroy all that. The Portuguese explored the coast of Senegal and Gambia and Guinea. Then in 1456, the Venetian captain Avasa Cadamosto, under Portuguese command, explored the island of Cape Verde. All these exploration was happening, but we were already ahead of as many of the other European countries around the world. But today, the Yorubas want us to forget who we are with our history. and continue to nurse a country called Nigeria that is not who we are. Let's take it into the European exploration of Africa a little bit. The geography of North Africa has been reasonably well known among Europeans since the classical antiquity in the Greco-Roman geography. Northwest Africa, the Maghreb, was known as either Libya or Africa, while Egypt was considered part of Asia. European exploration of the sub-Saharan Africa begins with the Age of Discovery. In the 15th century, we are currently in the 21st century. Pioneered by the Kingdom of Portugal under Henry the Navigator, the Cape of Good Hope was first reached by Bartolome Diaz on the 12th of March, 1488. There was no Nigeria as at that time. Opening the important sea route to India and the Far East, but the European exploration of Africa itself remained very limited during the 16th and the 17th centuries, when they saw the gold coast of what and who we are. And for that reason, they took as much of what they can to build everything that we see today in Europe. If that was not enough, they divided borders. If that was not enough, they gave us a false identity. If that was not enough, they kept some of us in the system of government that we are witnessing today, like the one in Nigeria. Mukiba Baba John Ogumuyiwa. The European powers were content to establish trading posts along the coast while they were actively exploring and colonizing the New World. The New World. They found something that was unbelievable. People that were well ahead of their time. This sculpture, the Ori Olokun, has been in existence thousands of years, and they could not understand the kind of technology that was used to build it. The term New World is used to describe the majority of the land of the Earth's western hemisphere, particularly the Americas. The term gained prominence in the early 16th century during Europe's Age of Discovery after Italian explorer Amerigo. The European powers were content to establish trading posts along the coast while they were actively exploring and colonizing the New World. Exploration of the interior of Africa was thus mostly left to the Muslim slave trades, who, in tandem with the Muslim conquest of Sudan, established far-reaching network and supported the economy of a number of Sahelian kingdoms during the 15th to the 18th century. It was the 19th century that Nigeria became amalgamated. Shout out to you from Montero, Mr. Shitu Damola. And once again, happy birthday to my brother, Mr. Olajide Ajikobi. At the beginning of the 19th century, which is where Nigeria became this formation, but at the beginning of the 19th century, European knowledge of the geography of the interior of the sub-Saharan Africa was still rather limited. Expedition exploring the southern Africa. Bear with me. And there might be some noise now. All right, wait.
Finally, Dad.
Finally. At the beginning of the 19th century, European knowledge How are you? Of the geography of the interior. Oh, sorry about that. This one is already falling down. Of sub-Saharan Africa was still rather limited. Expedition exploring the southern Africa were made during the 1830 up to 1840s. So that around the midpoint of the 19th century and at the beginning of the colonial scramble for Africa, I'm sure some of you have watched the Journey of Africa, the Journey of African Colony by Shashore or something like that. I guess it's the Journey of African Colony. It's called. You can watch it. Yeah, Journey African Colony. You can watch it on Netflix if you have the opportunity to do so. It gives you the in-depth of how Nigeria came to be. It's a series overviews the history of the colonization, the slave trade, and the independence in Nigeria. Journey of African Colony by Shashore. So, around the midpoint of the 19th century and the beginning of the colonial scramble for Africa, everybody now wanted something out of Africa. It was the next new world for them. It was a place to take as much as they can for their own selfish interest. And they did that perfectly well. Scramble for Africa was the invasion, colonization, and the partition of most African among seven Western European powers. I'll take that again. Scramble for Africa was invasion, colonization, and the partition of what we now call the most of Africa. It was done by 7 Western European powers during the era of the New World in 1870. 10% of this happened between 1833 and 1914, which is where we got the Berlin Conference. And the Berlin Conference, we were not consulted. We were not even told that they were breaking up all the borders of Africa for their own purpose. And that is why countries that are using CFA are still under the colony of France, Senegal, Niger, Burkina Faso, while in the West Africa, in Ghana, Nigeria, we were under the rules and under the British colony. In 1870, 10% of the continent was formerly under European control. 10%. I understand some of you might argue that we can manage this unity, we can live together amicably. But like I said at the beginning of the program, just under 48 hours, there has been stigma of an airline that is meant to bring people in and out on a direct flight from Nigeria. Nobody's even talking about that anymore. They are more concerned about the outfit of the staff of that airpiece. Because some believe, from what is trending on the social media, that it does not represent all the regions, all the indigenous people of Nigeria. It only represents people of Southeast. I didn't say that, but this is what is currently trending on the social media. And this is just an airline that left Nigeria less than 48 hours. Many people have already started asking questions if that airline represents us as Yoruba people, because the Yorubas are the one, trending that. They are not comfortable that Allen Oyeme the Airpeace airline outfit does not represent every one of us. Let's talk about the Scramble for Africa. The Scramble for Africa was the invasion, colonization, and partition of the most of Africa among Western European powers during the era of the new imperialism. And the new imperialism in historical context is characterized a period of colonial expansion by the European powers, the United States, Japan during the 19th and the early 20th centuries, the period featured an unprecedented pursuit of overseas territory accusations. They wanted to take what does not belong to them. I'm coming back, those of you on Instagram here, I got to go and come back. And that is exactly what has happened. Shout out to you, Mr. Lawale. Shout out Tokyo 778. They wanted to take what does not belong to them. Territories. They were using Africa to build their own empire while they were destroying our own empire. Mr. Nuruddin, good evening to you, sir. While they were using our own empire, Mr. Muyiwa Samuel, good evening, sir. Mr. Ganil Gafar, good evening. Simon Adebisi, uncertain cloud over the aviation bills. Lagos State Hospital disregards Sanwo-Olu order not to detain patient over unpaid medical bills unaffordable. Tinubu gives 6 months to economic panel to come out with a reliable solution. Shout out to America Adebayo. Kaduna State currently borrowing more in billions to run because they cannot pay salary. Happy Sunday, Tokyo 778. And Easter Sunday to you all. Hidden plot of mischievous tunnels of life and magnify that has ever been. It is time that we say that Nigeria is no longer visibly working, and it needs now the courage to dissolve peacefully. Mr. Benga Ebenezer, good evening, sir. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI, and this is a platform that talks about the right of the Yoruba people to self-determination. Mr. Waris Jinodu, well, they call it slavery, human trafficking, and voluntarily japa, and that has changed now. Everybody has now japa. Jim Masaka, good evening to you as well. Let's go back to Scramble for Africa. The new imperialism. In historical context, new imperialism characterized a period of the colonial expansion by powers. They were expanding, using the resources of Africa to build their own wealth. While today, many that call themselves Nigerians still believe that we are part of Africa that we need to build, because that is what Obasanjo is telling you. That is what some of those leaders are giving you, that Nigeria should involve in Africa so that we can be part of Africa Union. We can become part of African Union, but under a new nation called Yoruba Nation, Biafra Nation, Arewa Nation, the Middle Belt. Something then happened in what is now known as the 1884, the Berlin Conference. Shout out to you all the way in Lagos Island, the mainland. My brother Yemi Fatoki. Grandma Lea Jai, Happy Easter. Yoruba Nation is the solution. Mr. Benga, thank you so much. Coolies_gold. And many of you that have joined us, I can't see your name on the Twitter. We are 1 hour, 24 minutes into the program. Today is the 31st of March, 2024. In 1884, Berlin Conference. Some of you probably have never heard about Berlin Conference. This is what led to the partition of Africa today. It all happened in 1884 when 7 European countries sat together 7 old white men all sat in a conference hall and decide our future that we are now trying to reverse, but we now have people that are against that. Tokyo _77 say, I wish just 30% of Yoruba people watching you all the time. Just 30% did. Yoruba nation could have been achieved. In 1884, and I hope they are teaching our children all these in the school, in UK, in America, and around the world, that in 1884, 7 white men with their secretaries and whoever was going with them decided that they have to partition Africa for their own selfish interest. And it is known as the Berlin Conference, B-E-R-L-I-N. The Berlin Conference of 1884 up to 1885, also known as the Congo Conference or the West Africa Conference, met on the 15th of November 1884, and after an adjournment concluded on the 26th of February 1885 with the signature of the General Act regulating the European colonization and trade in Africa during the new imperialism period. The conference was organized by a man called Otto von Bismarck, O-T-T-O, Prince of Bismarck, Count of Bismarck, Duke of Nuremberg, was a Prussian and a late German statesman and a diplomat. Bismarck, powerful rule led to him being called the Iron Chancellor, just like we had Margaret Thatcher was an Iron Lady, even though he advised us that Nigeria was never going to work. But many of our Yoruba people and those calling themselves Nigerians are still in the hope that they can build a Nigeria into the new Africa, even though it is not going to happen. We can build new nations that will then work in line with other African countries and develop as fast as possible. If I can have a tea, I won't mind, please. Thanks. The conference, like I said, was organized by this man, Tony Ages. Welcome to the program. Otto von Bismarck. He was the first chancellor of Germany, where Oloyegbowo resides today with his family. At the request of this other evil man, known as Leopold II of Belgium, some of you need to go and find out who this man is. Leopold II of Belgium. Leopold II was the second king of Belgium from 1965 to 1909. There was nothing called Nigeria as at that time. And the founder and the sole owner of Congo, a country. Free state from 1885 up to 1908. He was controlling the whole of Belgium. He died at the age of 74. These were not men of caliber, but a man of caliber like Professor Adebanji Akintoye at 89 is now giving us some history that links some of these evil men like Leo II, the king of Belgium, that took the whole control of another country called Congo and took it as his own personal empire. And you have no right to say nothing. If you do, you end up being killed. Just like Britain took control of Nigeria and handed it over to the northern part of Nigeria to keep the rest of those indigenous people below par. And that is why we are struggling today. That is why we all then want to end up coming to study in UK through JAPA or the COS. As many Africans might not know, many of those evil leaders, and I'm going back to 13th of June, I'm taking us through a journey, because when people say, why are you asking for Yoruba nation? It's because they've destroyed who exactly we are, and until we go back to who we are, we will not achieve our aims and objective in this world. I am not here to argue whether if you die, you go to heaven or not. I am not concerned of you living on this earth where you have a mission and a purpose. Those purposes will not be achieved fully under the fraudulent disguise country called Nigeria. Even if we have our Yoruba nation and we don't achieve our aims, but at least we've been able to retain back our originality of who we are. So let's look at what BBC wrote about Leopold II. Leopold II, Belgium wakes up to its bloody colonial past, but Britain still doesn't want to accept their colonial past. So what they've done is they've given us push to go and demand our right under a fraudulent system of government that would not give you the right of who you are, by calling for election every 4 years and advising Nigerians to get their PVC so that you can chase out whoever you do not feel comfortable with. Yeah. Yes. A little bit of honey, not too much. How was it? Inside the palatial walls of Belgium, there's an African museum. Idris, welcome to the program. That stand the statues of Leopold II, each one a momentum to the king whose rule killed as many as 10 million Africans. Maybe you didn't get what I said there. Nígbà tí ọba yìí wà lórí oyè, I'm going to speak back in English. I just want to give that details in Yoruba to our people at home. Wọ́n nígbà tí ọba Leopold II, ọba Belgium àná, nígbà tó wà lórí oyè, ó kú ní age 74 ni ó jáde láyé. Àmọ́ nígbà ayé ẹ̀, ó pa èèyàn 10 million people nílùú Africa. Ó kú ní 1909 ní age 74 ní Brussels, tá à ń pè ní Belgium lénìí. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let me take that again. And I'm referencing now to the BBC article, Leopold II, Belgium wakes up to its bloody colonial past. Just as we have gone through the same, but Britain refused to accept and apologize and allow the need now for Nigeria to dissolve peacefully. Rather than Britain accepting that, they are going merry-go-round, moving different of their diplomats, trying to speak to different communities. I saw the British High Commissioner, I believe somewhere in Plateau State, as they continue to see how they can find a lasting peace and unity among over 200 plus ethnic indigenous people in the crazy contraction that they created in 1914. Rather than them discussing with each of these individuals' leaders for a peaceful dissolution, they are running away from that. This King Leopold II who, as at the time he was a ruler, a murderous man, an evil individual, killed as many as 10 million Africans. And these are what you are not told in your history in Nigeria and most African countries. Standing close by, one visitor said, "I don't know anything about Leopold II. It's because nobody wants you to know that one individual during his reign killed 10 million Africans." And the same Yoruba people and the same Nigerians are still now telling us that we should listen to Belgium that wants us to remain in Nigeria when one of their king killed 10 million people. Do you understand what I'm saying? Ọba kan wà, ó pa 10 million Africans. And the same Nigerians today would defend, and some of you will go and watch, or some of us are living even in their country. And even some of them are telling us we cannot live in Belgium. It's not for us. But Leopold took control of Congo as his personal enterprise. He controls Congo all the way from Belgium during that era. Just like Britain was controlling Nigeria up to independence that ended up giving it to the North to deal with us. So when you are there talking about building a political party, and then you will use that political party to come and develop the unity and peace and tranquility of people that do not understand each other, that even an airline, that you would think that that shouldn't be a problem because we've complained about this. The high cost of traveling to Nigeria is much expensive than those going to long distance route in America. So you would think that that should be an opportunity, that there's an airline that is bringing us into UK, which is 6 hours journey. We've already turned it into Yoruba and Igbo airline. Mukiyawa Rukayat Omawumi. We have already turned that airline that has arrived in UK into a fight between Igbos and Yoruba. The Ashotowo who represent in Nigeria or represent our Igbo ni. Once again, a very good evening. Let's come back and leave Leopold alone. But at least, if anybody tells you about Belgium, just say that 10 million people were killed by one of their king during his reign. And Africans, Yorubas would never forgive them for such crime against humanity. You can see why I say freedom will not be given to you like you're going to Oshodi market to buy. We have to prepare our mind whether we still want to be slaves or we want to go. The option is on the table, and it's entirely up to every one of us to decide. But if you're thinking that you can manipulate and form a political party and go into 2027 to defeat these monster criminal politicians that the Europeans have now handed over power to subjugate and dominate and oppress, intimidate, and kill as many of you, because Belgium is no longer be able to do that because the world has become very much more exposed. They got away with that during that era between the time Leopold was the king. But this time around, they've handed over to our politicians to deal with that issue on their behalf, directly or indirectly. So when people say that, why do we want a total exit from Nigeria? Why not build a Nigeria of our dream? Why not work to join a political party and change the structure? The first question is, there was never a structure and there was never a foundation. The foundation was faulty. And whatever is faulty in that foundation, what we are doing in the last 63 years of the fraudulent independence granted by Britain, would not fix Nigeria of our dream. Mukia Bola Tito Adebisi, happy Easter, mommy. Mukia grandma. Now, let's now talk about the 1914 amalgamation itself. And why did Lord Lugard created Nigeria? And I'll be running through that from a website called the Council on Foreign Relations. Must be happy weekend and happy Easter, my brother, and great work you're doing as you continue to enlighten us about the up-to-date security threat in Yoruba land, because we're all dealing with different topics on our platforms. If you watch Must Be, he is aware of all the Fulani terrorist attack, while I am giving you up to date with the history that was removed from our curriculum when Obasanjo was there. So kudos to you, Must Be. Let's look at how and what led to the amalgamation of Nigeria. Maybe that might change your perception, or maybe that will want you to remain in a fraudulent country that Britain created. Not for us, for their own purpose. Oloye is doing very well. He's where he is. Those are security questions that I don't answer. So if you ask where Oloye is, I say he's fine, wherever he is. But he's fine. Thank you so much for asking, Mr. Ibrahim. On January 1st, 1914, there's a man called Frederick Lugard. As at the time, he was the governor of both the Northern Nigeria Protectorate and the Colonial and the Protectorate of Southern Nigeria. So there was three different protectorates. We have the colony, and we have the Protectorate of the South and the North. Each of these protectorates, I will explain to us, and I'll give us some background to it. Again, may the soul of Stephen Lawrence continue to rest in peace, just as the soul of Damilola Taylor and the rest of those that have died through racist attack in the United Kingdom, and as many souls that have been killed through genocide by the Nigerian military and the Nigerian police across all this region of Nigeria, without leaving the North and the Middle Belt. Let's take you through some journey about the 1914 fraudulent amalgamation. The question we should ask Britain is, if there is no document to confirm that there was a treaty of this amalgamation, is it then worth keeping Nigeria? And if there is ever a document that Britain kept somewhere in their archive, is it not the time for them to release this document and let us vet what was written inside? Because some has even argued that there was nothing called 100 years. But I have even come up with a new strategy. We do not even need any 100 years before we demand a total pull down of the name called Nigeria as a country. But don't expect your governors, your deputy, your senators, your House of Reps to accept these because they are part of the new colonial masters that have used us for their own selfish interest. Let's look at the protectorate from both sides. Once again, my name is OLAYOMI KOIKI. And as you all know, we have a mobile studio and there will always be the beautiful conversation behind. On the 1st of January 1914, Frederick Lugard, the governor of both the Northern Nigerian Protectorate, that I'm going to tell you what that means, and the colony and the Protectorate of the Southern Nigeria, signed a document consolidating the two, thereby creating the colony and the Protectorate of Nigeria. These all took place 110 years ago. But 46 years later, in 1960, Azikiwe, Tafawa Balewa, Obafemi Awolowo, and every single one of them fought to get what we call independence of Nigeria, where Nigeria became an independent state. But it was not officially handed over to those that should have moved the propeller. Imagine you going on an airline and the pilot was not trained to drive the airplane. What do you think is going to happen? Imagine you go in a vehicle and the driver was not trained to drive that vehicle. What do you think is going to happen? Imagine those Okada riders, and they are not trained properly to ride those Okadas. What do you think is going to happen? So what has actually happened in what we are saying in Nigeria in the last 63 years is because the UK or Britain gave the power and consolidated it to a particular region, which is the northern region, that has ended up collapsing Nigeria for a purpose. So whatever Bola Tinubu is doing today, it will eventually fight back when the North takes control of the power. And the Southeast, I can say with all my chest, the North will never allow any presidency to come from the Igbos because they are not to be trusted. So why then do we want to stay together? That's a question for us to talk about. We're going to come back to this article. So let's take us to the Northern Nigeria Protectorate. The Northern Nigeria, known as the Hausa, was a British protectorate which lasted for 14 years, from 1900 until 1914, and it covered the northern part of Nigeria. It covered the northern part, what is now called Nigeria, because as at the time, it was not part of Nigeria. There was nothing called Nigeria. So for 14 years, from 1901, 1900, 1901, 02, 03, 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, 09, 10, 11, 12, 14. For 14 years, the British were controlling the northern region. Just as they were doing with the same thing with the southern part of what is now called Nigeria. The protectorate span about 660,000 square kilometers, is about 255 square miles, and included the emirate of the Sokoto Caliphate and part of the former Borno Empire. All these the Bono Empire was conquered in 1902. The first High Commissioner of the Protectorate was this man called Frederick Lugard, who ended up joining us with the Northern Nigeria. Let me use the word Northern Protectorate, because the Nigeria came in just after 1914, so that you can understand the background, so that anytime we are always been one. We were never one. We were separate entity. But because a company called Britain, through their proxy known as Lugard, because as at that time, these Oyibo people, these Englishmen, they were extremely powerful. They were making decisions as long as it favors the tax that they were bringing back to Britain on the behalf of the governor administrator. Let me give you an example. It's like many of us today, we work in companies and you are given a, I'm looking for the right word. You are given to come up with a particular figure. Like Google, if you work with this company, Target. Many people work in a company, salesmen, bankers today. You are given a target. Those targets, if you're not watching that, can you slow that for now? Mr. Taiwo Banuso says, forceful marriage will eventually end in a bitter divorce. Thank you so much, Mr. Lawale. No going back. We must divide Nigeria. Let's stick to the Northern Protectorate. The word Nigeria came after 1914. So I'll keep Mukiyawa Mustafa. Assalamu alaikum. I'll keep using the word Northern Protectorate. So you know that is the North, Ilausa. The first High Commissioner, Togbewa Sibe, was this man that we are now saying created what is called Nigeria today, Frederick Lugard. Frederick Lugard was born in India in 1 minute. Let's give us a background of Frederick Lugard. Frederick John Daltrey Lugard was the first Baron Lugard, GCMG, CB, PC, known as Sir Frederick Lugard, between 1901 and 1928. He was a British soldier and also a mercenary. So mercenary has been used for some time. Mukiba Baba Shoga 247. He was also an explorer of Africa and a colonial administrator. He was born on the 22nd of January 1858 in Chania, India. He died on the 11th of April 1945 at the age of 87 years old. See Nigeria, see Northern Protectorate as the High Commissioner. You can see why I say that if Nigeria breaks today, UK will still have the cordial relationship with the Biafra, with the Yorubas, the Arewa, and the Middle Belt. They will still have the same cordial relation. But what Britain is doing is that they are playing the devil advocate. Like they don't have any hands in the problem of Nigeria. Just run Nigeria, the right leaders there. If there's a problem, we will top it up with whatever we can assist with. So now we know a little bit about Lugard, but let's see what led to him, because he was also stationed in Hong Kong. Lugard, like I said, was not born in UK, but the parents are British born. So automatically, he's also British, citizen of the United Kingdom. But he was brought up in Worcester in England. He was the son of a reverend father. a British Army captain at Madras, and his third wife, Mary Howard, the younger daughter of Reverend John Galton. But that is not where we are going. Let's look at a bit of his exploration of East Africa. Konshe, northern part of Nigeria, this Lugard moved a lot because during that time, Britain had many of their workers going around the world exploring, looking for what they can survive on. Just as Baba not saying one can survive because many of us are looking for what to survive on, and that is why there's drug, there's prostitution, there's sex, there's everything going on in that shit hole country called Nigeria today. So let's go back a little bit. Let's look at Lugard, his early life and education. This is the man that many of you Nigerians are trying to keep his lineage. Because the longer that we keep Nigeria, we are still keeping the lineage of Lugard in that contraction. The day there's no more Nigeria, the Nigeria of Lugard will end officially. This is why we are saying that we need to get our nation. Because if we get out of Nigeria, we own the territory, we own that land, we own the space. But the problem we are having is the name which this evil man gave us. The day we move out of that, that will be the day that we will appreciate who we are as Yoruba people, Biafra, Middle Belt, and the rest of different ethnic. And please don't come and tell us about, oh, what about Edo? What about all this? If any one of them wants to stand on their own, let them form an independent country of their own, and nobody should be forced to join Yoruba, and nobody should be forced to join Arewa, nobody should be forced to join the Biafra as well. There are smaller countries around the world that are doing very well as an independent country, and they can use another country to step up. Lugard, like I said, was born in Madras. I'm going to move here. I'm just going to go through his military career. Lugard was commissioned into the 9th Foot East Norfolk Regiment in 1878. Just like we read about Akim Madeshino pedigree yesterday. And he's now telling us, not us, he's probably telling his family and his colleagues that they are looking for a name called United State of Nigeria. Dr. Akim Adeshino, like I said to you in the program yesterday, that is for you and your network of friends. That does not represent us, the Yoruba people that wants to exit Nigeria. If you like, you can go with the northern part of Nigeria and create United States of Nigeria. Because if you, as an educated man, as we have read your history, your background, you are well read, you should know that this evil demon, Lugard, created that man that you say that even in your death, you still want to hold Nigerian flag. There's nothing wrong in that. If you die, which I don't pray for you now, they can bury you and wrap you up with the Nigerian flag, even though we pray you live a long life and witness a Yoruba nation. Because we, the Yoruba people, will pull out of the shithole country that you are proud of, because you are part of some of the problems that we're talking today as a Yoruba elite that understand the game. And I'll be monitoring you closely because I know you are speaking on behalf of certain evil people around the world that wants to keep us in Nigeria. So you can even change your house to green, white, green. Even when we have Yoruba nation, we will not mind. It's your right under our freedom of constitution then. But don't come and preach United States of Nigeria to us, because I am already now dissecting the evil man that created the word Nigeria. In 1878, and then he joined the 2nd Battalion in India. He served in the 2nd Angola-Afghan War. There has always been war. So ìwọ tó ní Ọlọ́run ní jẹ́ àjà ogun, tó bá gbógun wá bá yín, wá gba gbogbo lẹ̀ tó ń jọ ẹ́ lójú yẹn. All your properties, all your wealth in Yoruba land will be taken if the war comes to your doorsteps. I know some of you doesn't like when I talk about war, W-A-R, but I am told that Lugard has been fighting war, part of the British system that was sending them to war, which happened in 1878 up to 1880. He was also sent to the Sudan campaign in 1884, 4 years after the war ended. Maybe he had injury, they fix him back, they make him feel better, they send him back out. That is why many of us should start preparing our mind and heart that we might have to defend our territory, maybe now or in the future. 4 years after the Second Angola-Afghan War, Lugard was sent out again to the Sudan campaign. And according to what we know here again, the Sudan campaign was not just a campaign of putting leaflet out. According to what I'm reading here, it is called the Mahdist War, M-A-H-D-I-S-T, Mike Alpha Hotel Delta Indigo Sarah Tango. There has always been war. Ogun Loma Fingbale. So if you're one of those that say you will get Yoruba nation in diplomatic way, I wish you the best of luck. I will stand with that. But for me, it will take us another 40 years inside Nigeria. And I am not joking. The Mahdist War was a war between the Mahdist Sudanese led by Muhammad Ahmed bin Abdullah, who had proclaimed himself the Mahdi of Islam, and the forces of the Khedive of Egypt initially, and later forces of Britain. It was an 18 years of war. Nobody prays for war, but with the things and the way Nigeria is going right now, it will just explode. Some of you probably never heard about it. So imagine a man that just fought a war in 1878 up to 1880. 4 years after that, it was sent out again to go and fight on behalf of Britain. Because like I said then, Britain was an empire that lasted for 200 years. Then there was the Third Angola-Burmese War. The Third Angola-Burmese War was November 1885. It was awarded the Distinguished Service Order. That means these were young men, and many of us today, we are scared because we don't want to die. But then, these young soldiers that Britain was putting out were ready to kill and protect the interest of the empire known as the British Empire. But today, millions of Yoruba people, millions of the Biafra, and millions of Arewa are praying to Jesus and Muhammad to come and fight on their behalf. After this promising start, his career was derailed when he fell in love with a twice married British divorcee. He was never a great man. Imagine. They said his career derailed. He met in India, learning she had been injured in the accident. He abandoned his post in Burma to join her in Lucknow, then follow her to England when she rejected him. Lugard decided to make a fresh start in Africa. This is where our problem started. Only God knows. Maybe that woman should have just married Lugard and kept him there so that whoever was coming to the northern region would have kept them and even make them a country. You can see where we started, where the problem started. And many of you today that are calling yourself Nigerians, I'm going to end again this. We come back again. You then want us. Lugard was a bitter man because he fell in love. It didn't go well. He ended up taking that as an opportunity to come to Africa and start a new life. The life of creating Nigeria. Alex Mamu, 142. Happy Easter to you all. Keep the comment coming. I'll be picking it as I go into the program. And I appreciate every single one of you that have joined us so far. Shamsitin Oladipukbo. Kenzie Abiola, unity will never happen in Nigeria. Thanks for translating these to my Yoruba people. Ajijangbara Mokiyin. Moki Baba Ifani Molaye. Ekabo sórí ètò wa. Moki Mr. Gbenga Ebenezer. Blessed Chooks, good evening to you, sir. Omogbolanwo Albert, happy Easter. Àbọ̀rọ̀ àbọ̀yè. Mo fún wa ní ìtàn tá là ń sọ̀rọ̀, ìtàn arákùnrin kan tó ń pè ní Lugard. Arákùnrin yìí wọ́n ní olólùfẹ́ tí ó fẹ́ tí ìfẹ́ yẹn ò débi tó yẹ kó dé, ó níparí. Lára pé kò rí arábìnrin yẹn fẹ́ mọ́, òun ló fi bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìrìn àjò tó fi wá sí Áfíríkà, tó fi wá dá wàhálà sílẹ̀ sí ọrùn tiwa báyìí táwa wá ń try láti wá yanjú ẹ̀. Àwa ń fẹ́ ṣe ìgbìyànjú pé ká yanjú ẹ̀. Ọmọ Yorùbá ní ká fi sílẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ká lè máa ṣèrántí Lugard tí ó jẹ́ arákùnrin kan tó rò ní olólùfẹ́ tó wá fi ìfẹ́ àwọn èèyàn burúkú tó ń pè ní àwọn northerners Fúlàní wá gbé lé wọn lórí. Ọlọ́run ló create Nàìjíríà. Ọlọ́run create Nàìjíríà. Jésù ò dẹ̀ create Nàìjíríà. Ànábì ò create Nàìjíríà. Àwọn oníṣẹ̀ṣe wa wọ́n create Nàìjíríà. Kò síbì kankan tí wọ́n ti dá ifá pé kó create Nàìjíríà. Kódà kò consult Jésù, kò consult Ànábì. But today, àwa ń fi Jésù a fi ń gbàdúrà fún Nàìjíríà. Àwa ń fi Ànábì Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam a fi ń gbàdúrà fún Nàìjíríà. Kódà a tún dífá, à ń ṣe oríṣiríṣi àwa aláwo, àwa babaláwo, a fi ń ṣe ìwúre fún Nàìjíríà. Ìyẹn jẹ́jẹ́ pé gbogbo ìwúre àti àdúrà tá à ń gbà látara ti Jésù tànábì òfútù fẹ́tẹ̀ irọ́ là ń pa fúnra wa. Torí kò síbì kankan téèyàn kan máa sọ fún wa pé Elédùmarè àbí Jésù àbí Ànábì ó kọ́ nínú ìtàn kan pé Nàìjíríà tẹ́ ń gbàdúrà fún yẹn Lugard fúnra rẹ̀ gan consult òun. I hope you understand what I'm saying. We have now become fools. Because when Lugard was creating Nigeria, he did not consult the oracle, neither did he consult Jesus or consulted the Islam. I have the ringtone behind me. Don't worry about it. Let's go back again and read about him a little bit more. When the woman that Lugard was meant to marry rejected him, Lugard decided to make a fresh start in Africa. Just like many of us, things goes wrong in our lives and we just want to restart. And sometimes it could be maybe you should leave that environment that you have lived for a very long time and start afresh. And sometimes it could be the same environment but on a new pathway. The Yoruba people do not want to accept the truth. And the truth is that we must start a new pathway. Even Lugard, from what we are reading, we're going to start afresh. Why are we scared? Why are we afraid to start afresh when we know that the system that we've run for 60 years plus has not been fruitful because we have never been one and we can never be one, and the unity and the love will not be there. The love that one missing. We are looking for love in Nigeria. Even Lugard did not find love. He started afresh. Why not start afresh in a new nation? Why should that be difficult? Why should that be a problem? Why are we scared to start afresh? Why is it that we don't want to start afresh? Why is it that a man that created Nigeria, from what we are reading now of his history, he started afresh? I am telling our people, let us start afresh. No, we are not going to start afresh. We will maintain the one that is there. All we will just do, we will pad the budget, we will steal the money. Some politicians will have more. They will give us rice during Ileya. They will send us to Jerusalem. They will buy us car. They will give us peanuts. It's because we love our oppressors. I feel on that because we are not looking at the system that we start afresh will allow us to shine around other countries around the world with a new passport of Yoruba nation, Biafra nation, Arewa nation, Middle Belt, Edo nation, whatever nation wants to come out of Nigeria. We will start afresh. We will start a new diplomatic communication around the world as new countries. It has been done before. It will be done again because Nigeria will collapse. It is just that it depends on how soon we want it to collapse. But the more we keep it to be as it is, we are already meaning that we are enriching the particular set of corrupt politicians. Because the longer we keep Nigeria right now, they will have wealth to kill us, to take our freedom, just like nobody knows where Daddy Yati is today. Just like Nnamdi Kanu freedom has been taken away from him. Do you know that we should even be more angry that they kept Nnamdi Kanu in the custody? Even some Yoruba people are happy. I'm not even talking about Igbo people because some of them are stupid for allowing Peter Obi to deceive them. But the Yoruba people are excited that Nnamdi Kanu, no, Tinubu, don't release Nnamdi Kanu, just keep him there. But a man came and destroyed who we are. So Nnamdi Kanu is much more a dangerous man than Lugard that formed Nigeria. Do you see that we have a mental medulla oblongata problem? Because we are happy people that Lugard created this entity, and within that entity, a Fulani man didn't go through the normal route, kidnap, rendition Nnamdi Kanu back into Nigeria, and we are all excited, and it doesn't mean anything. That shows that we have problems, and you expect the certain set of people that they have kept their own person to be happy and stay together in one enclave country called Nigeria. So you now expect the Biafrans or the people in the southeast to be happy because if they kidnap Nnamdi Kanu, then so what? Is that not why we are happy? So we are looking that, oh, it doesn't matter. Chebi, it's Nnamdi Kanu. They are Igbo people. We don't even like them anyway. Let them lock him up away, throw the key away. But the man that created the mess, we are now proud to remain inside that mess because we love his name. We're going to wind down this program. There will always be a part 2. Happy Easter, Yami Comfort, Logunja. It's unbelievable. But we're going to finish with this Lugard. Àti mọ̀ nísìn pé arákùnrin tó ń pè ní Lugard yẹn, ìfẹ́ tó ń wá kò rí ìfẹ́ yẹn, ó wá lọ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ayé tuntun níbi kan tó ń pè ní Áfíríkà, níbi tí Elédùmarè dá àwọn ẹ̀yà oríṣiríṣi tó dá tí ó fún wa ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan tí a lè fi ṣe ayé wa, ó lọ fi wá síbẹ̀. Àwa wà níbẹ̀, arákùnrin kan wá dé láàrin méjì, ó wá dá gbogbo ìrìn àjò yẹn rú. And that is why we are still where we are today. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń darapọ̀ mọ́ wa, mo kí ọmọdé. Happy Easter Sunday, aṣọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ ẹ̀, a máa bá wa láyé. We are not here against Christian, we are not here against Muslim, and we are not here against our tradition. We are just here to educate and enlighten every single one of us on the reasons why it is time that we let Nigeria to dissolve. Let's go further. Karango War. Around 1880, a group of Swahili traders under Milozi bin Kasbadama established a trading base. During that era, it was all about trading posts. As much as they can trade, get, steal, whatever. Mukiba Baba Johnson, Abiyawa Johnson, Oseyemi Esther. Happy Easter to you, sir. Ma, rather. Established a trading base in the northwest sector of Lake Malawi. Lake Malawi is somewhere in Tanzania, and Lago Nissa is in Mozambique, is an African Great Lake and the southmost lake in the East Africa Reef System. This is what and who we are as Africans. Beautiful places, but the most poorer in the world. Including a stock ad at Chilumba. Again, Chilumba is a town in Malawi. It is an urban center in Karunga district. And the lake from where ivory, I'm sure you know that ivory is a hard light material from the tusk of and teeth of animal that consists mainly of line, one of the physical structure of the teeth and tusk. And slaves could be shipped across the lake. In 1883, the Africa Lake Company was set up a base in that region. The Africa Lake Company was a British company originally set up in 1877 by a Scottish businessman to operate with the Presbyterian missions in what is now known as Malawi, despite its original connections with the Free Church of Scotland. Again, so Church of Scotland as well was involved in slave trade, just like Church of England. It operated its businesses in Africa on commercial. So they set up the base in this area known as Karunga to exchange ivory for trade goods from these Swahili merchants. Relation between, I'm still giving you the background of Lugard. This is how it was moving before he got to Nigeria. Relation between the two groups deteriorated partly because of the company's delay or unwillingness to provide guns. So the African Lake Company will buy these tucks, these teeth of elephant and whatever they were buying then in exchange for guns. So the relationship of fail could work because they were not providing enough ammunition for them. Also because the Swahili traders turned more to slaving. So we were also using ourselves for slave because we thought that, you know, was making more money, so they keep people and sell it to the white people to take them to wherever they want to take them to. And eventually, many of our forefathers left the offshore of Africa. And along the line, millions of people died. So the Swahili traders then turned more to slaving because slaving was making more money then. Slavery is the ownership of a person as property, especially regards to their labor. Slavery typically involves compulsory work with the slave's location of work and residence dictated by party that holds them in bondage. Today, APC is holding us in bondage, just as PDP has held us in bondage, just as the military held us in bondage, just as Britain held us in bondage before 1914. So you can see, you know, the catalog of the bondage that we were all kept. So we were in bondage during the slave trade. Okay, why not see that slave trade? was a slave trade more. That's fine. There was no more slave trade, but eventually they say, okay, let's give them independence because their wahala is too much. It looks like they are becoming more smarter. They have Awolowo there, they have Zik there. Oh yeah, give them independence, but make sure that that independence doesn't go to the southwest or the southeast. Give it to the north. Let them keep that place for us so that we can go behind them and take more stuff. And when that was going on, then they started the military coup. So if I take you back to the what I just read now, slaving, SLAVINIG, Sarah Lima Alpha Victor India November Golf, is slavery is the ownership of a person as property, especially in regard to their labor. Slavery typically involves compulsory work with the slave's location of work and the residency dictated by the party that holds them in bondage. Enslavement is the placement of a person into slavery. Today, many of us left Nigeria to look for a greener pasture. Some of us settled down properly, while some are still trying to find their feet. If you've just come to the country, take your time. It will be a very tough time because UK is not the UK of 30 years ago. Things have changed. I saw a young girl crying on the train because of immigration. It will take some time, but it might have to be a lot of work and consultation with lawyers and people that have lived in this country because it will take you a bit of time to stable and stabilize in a system that is not your own. Let's move swiftly. Relationship between, we talked about that. Now, the African Lake Company, who they are, depot at the Karonga was evacuated at the end of the year. But in May 1888, this man then was a captain, Lugard. Captain Lugard, persuaded by the British consulate at Mozambique, arrived to lead an expedition against the Milozo. It was sponsored by the African Lake Company, but without official support from the British government. You know that we have all these machineries that are working around the world. If you have the money, you can hire them. They don't take orders from anybody. So, from what we are hearing now, what we are reading from this side now says that company tí ó ń ra ọjà pẹ̀lú àwọn tí ó ń rajà pẹ̀lú wọ́n wá employ Lugard. Lugard then persuaded by the British consulate at Mozambique, he arrived to lead an expedition against àwọn ará ibẹ̀ yẹn. This was all sponsored by the African Lake Company, just like many of your politicians are sponsored to derail this movement, just as many of them were sponsored to make sure that those that are campaigning for their right to the independent do not have it. So everybody's talking about, hey, let's join APC. We can propel APC. We can even have young people inside APC and make it one of the fastest growing, political party in the world because PDP were criminals for 16 years. This is what they do behind the scene. Don't expect Europeans to come and tell you that they are funding a lot of things in Africa to destabilize Africa. But in the years to come, we will know. So Captain Lugard, as we know, took charge of the expedition, but this was not known officially by the British government. Lugard's first expedition of May to June 1888 attacked the Swahili stockades with limited success, and in the course of one attack, Lugard was wounded and he withdrew south. Just as the Nigerian military continued to attack the Biafra Liberation Army, but they're not going to tell you that they are killing each other and there's a lot of injuries. They might have injuries from the Biafra Liberation Army, just as the Nigerian army is having. The reason why it's not coming out more is because the fight is still going, small. By the time it comes up, then we would have gone into a full-blown civil war. Because right now, there's fight. There's small gun fight. The back, they go again. When Lugard wanted to attack, he was wounded and he withdrew south. Lugard's second expedition was again in December 1888 to March 1889, but was larger and included a 7-pound gun. So the 7-pound gun, from what we know, is the Ordnance RML 7-pounded, is a MK steel gun, was a British rifle muzzle loading mountain gun. And you know when you have more gun, you can kill more people. This was all happening before Lugard entered what is called Northern Protectorate. I am still giving you how it was moving. Bó ṣe rọra ń rìnrìn àjò ẹ̀ kó tó kí wọ́n ti pé in tó gbé dé Áfíríkà ni pé olólùfẹ́ tó nífẹ̀ẹ́ tó fẹ́ fẹ́ ìyẹn ọ̀fẹ́. Laura Shaw tí wọ́n máa ń sọ Laura Shaw kọ́kọ́ ni ó máa kọ́kọ́ ní kankan ṣe pẹ̀lú. Laura Shaw was just a girlfriend to Lugard. It was because kò rí ẹni tó fẹ́ fẹ́ nígbà tí ó wà ní India, ó tẹ̀lé yẹn padà wá sí England, wọ́n rí ara wọn fẹ́. He felt sad. He then started a new journey going to Africa. Maybe tó bá rí yẹn fẹ́, probability wà pé kó má wá sí Africa, but that now is an history. So ìwọ tó ní let's keep Nigeria. I am giving you the background of the man because he has now gone to get more gun power. And that is what Biafra are looking for. They know that they need more firepower to fight back the Nigerian military. So that is what they are fighting now. But we don't want to go through that route because we are intelligent Yoruba people. We can do it diplomacy. But Tinubu might not give you what you want. Put that at the back of your heart so that you don't get disappointed. Toba Funwa, oh yeah, if you give it to us, why will I be upset? I'll be happy. But I don't see him giving us what we want because he doesn't need 3-4 years before he says everybody should go their separate ways. He's the one that is president. Said to the North, the Obas, let them have meeting. This country is not working. We dissolve it fully. Everybody goes back. We don't even talk about regional government. We go back to a full independent autonomous country. And then everybody will be happy. And if everybody want to fight, Tinubu will just say, the little gun where I don't carry, you too, take them, put for people's hand, trade them. I was watching the King's backup. I was watching the King just this afternoon, Mukia Baba Shegun Ono, when they were giving on the background. You know, when they were doing coronation, we didn't see all the back. I love to look at the back, of preparation. You know, they were putting on the gown, I saw Williams and all that. King Charles visited the Ukraine army. This was as soon as he became the king. Part of where he was, they were documenting and they were showing. Now they put everything together and they showed that. I'm sure some of you watched it on the BBC this afternoon. It was a very beautiful thing to watch. The Ukraine soldier that were brought here for training, they only need to train them for 35 days and they were fully ready combat to go into the mission. So that means that if Tinubu declares that everybody goes their separate ways, all he needs to do is say, Gbogbo Yoruba to le defend the Ile Yoruba, because I will make a declaration for everybody to go their separate ways. If the North or the Southeast wants to attack us, we will train people and they will be able to carry weapons within 35 days. I didn't know that is that easy. A guy who was a teacher is now, after 35 days, they were moving them back to the war front. And I'm sure 1 or 2 people would have watched what I was talking about. This was shown today on the BBC. When the King Charles, as soon as he became king, he visited the in UK, he visited the training center where the British Army were training. So we can have many of the Yoruba's military guys put Yoruba people in the barracks, train them how to shoot guns and train them for purposes so that when Tinubu says everybody go their separate ways, if anybody wants to try nonsense, we will be able to fight them back. But Tinubu is not going to do that because Tinubu is also another puppet of the West. So if you're one of those waiting for such, and say, hey, Tinubu can do it at the second term. He doesn't have to do it at the first term. No, he doesn't need second term. All he needs is to do what he needs to do right now. But Tinubu says, Emi Lokan, I will make sure we fix Nigeria. And when he fixed Nigeria after 8 years, he go back to his Bodilon house, then hand over power to the North, and the North now say, thank you, Tinubu, because you are a stupid man. We will not do exactly how you don't do it. We will then remove Cardoso, we will remove the chief of staff, we will remove this, and they'll put their own people, and it becomes another marginalization. And we want to continue like that? Serious? Are we serious that we can continue in this way? Come on, let us be honest with ourselves. I'll continue by. Oh, you want me to go and join political party? So we can fight them. Hey, go and join Koiki. You can, because you are a very intelligent man. You know how to talk. You are bold. You look the way they talk like this. Come back to Nigeria. Join APC. Join PDP. Let's fight together. You are a stupid mumu woman or man. You want to go and fight what God joined together that was done for the interest of their purpose, not our interest. Why not let us have our own independent, autonomous nation, and then we can decide whether I want to come and be part of anything in there, because I will have the right, just like you have the right. But don't come and tell us, hey, go and join Nigerian politicians, because that one will be able to fix. And I laugh when I read some of your comments on the X, which is known as Twitter. You will see stupid people. They will write there, the future of Nigeria is coming back. The future of Nigeria is coming back because Oyeme Airpeace just moved one plane to Gatwick. Oh yes, that should have been done a long time ago. We were doing that before. Nigerian Airways was doing that before. Nigerian Airways were bringing people from London to Lagos from back to back until they use all their girlfriend to collect the airline. But this one is a private venture, so it will not tolerate nonsense. So because of that, Nigeria, if you apply for passport, which I will be going to Nigerian High Commission very soon. Maybe I'll get my own passport. I'll say, hey, Yoruba people, I say Yoruba nation now. I am now happy. I'm able to get my Nigerian passport within 24 hours. Are you serious? Do you think that is the reason why we're asking for a nation? Because Nigeria, if Nigeria let Nigeria make security better for us. It is the right of the system. We want our people to be protected. We want people to be rich, but that does not stop us from asking for our nation. So let's go back. So you can see why I say violence is what has been used to suppress people. Remember that they told us that Lugard, Captain Lugard, he was called then. He wanted to fight. He got injured or retreat. So that means some of you that say that Igboho ran away, you can see lost his way. Moja Mosa la fi maki konju. Igbo people also don't train that thing from us. So Lugard, Lugard also retreated because he got injured along the line. From what we've read here, he went back, treated the wound, make himself fit again, but now got better, powerful gun to go back and fight. So when some of you say Igboho ran away, Igboho did not run away. He knew that it was not the right thing at the right time to fight in Nigerian military, because if anything happened, Igboho will not even kill them. They will kill each other there. They will then bring the body of a soldier. Imagine if a soldier died on the 1st of July 2021. They will just put the soldier out and they will say, this is what Igboho did. He killed a Nigerian military, just as how they've castigated the innocent Biafra Liberation Army and say they are the one killing police, they are the one killing soldier, even though they are the one killing them. I'm talking about their governors from Opuzodima, and they remember that Buhari, from a report that came from UK, confirmed that he was paying Ebube to kill innocent Igbos in the southeast, but they link everything to Biafra, and some stupid Yoruba people buy into that nonsense and say, Koiki, don't turn Lagos to Biafra land. You know they are destroying police station there. He hasn't been there before. This is the report is hearing from NTA News. That corrupt entity that the Fulani has injected their own vision of what they want you to hear. Koiki, don't turn southwest to where they are killing each other, but Buhari was able to kill 28,000 innocent Yoruba people. I am not talking about the other tribes, I mean the other ethnic people. It shows that some of you are stupid. And that's why I always say, some of you are born bastards. You like your oppressors. Come back home. Don't be sitting there and be talking like that. Come back home. Mojamosa, Lafimaki Konju, I have told you, when the time comes to come back home, it will not be business as usual. I will just leave it like that. But for now, I don't have to come back home. I am more than enough to run the show with this education that some of you will hear, and you'll say, so Koiki, so Lugard did not make it to, imagine Lugard did not make it to marry the woman of his choice. He ended up come to Africa and gave us a marriage of pain, marriage of disunity, marriage of hatred. He could not get that. He now gave us the marriage that we are dealing with today. And we are asking for divorce. Some of you say, no, don't let us divorce from Nigeria. I love Nigeria so much. Stupid idiot. Love Nigeria. The oppressing country that Lugard created. Ogumola says, he who fight to run, live to fight another day. So he tells us, Asa, Koiki, you ran away back to London. You ran away back to London. Why didn't you wait? Even Lugard retreated when he was injured. But when he came back, he came with the firepower. So when we come back, I will leave that inside my stomach. By the time we come back, I will leave that inside my stomach. And if you think Simon Ekpa, the Prime Minister of the government of Biafra in exile, is joking, he will realize what is coming. Let's move swiftly. So Lugard bought 7-pound gun. I wish I can show you the picture of the. You know, it gets two tire. Let me describe it. It gets two tire and one big thing where they go put the whether a gun that they put inside, whether they go load down. It's called 7-pounded, and it went to bring that. See this one. If I fire one, it enter that place. It punch everybody. Nobody has the violence to monopoly. That is why we are saying there is still room for a peaceful dissolution. But if you say, you not fit do anything, what you not go do? Nigerian soldier, we no fit fight Boko Haram. Nigerian soldier don't tell it pass Boko Haram. Nigerian soldier that cannot fight the Boko Haram. Now that same Nigerian soldier, and I want you threaten innocent people. When the time comes, everybody will get the message. So this program will run up to 3 hours. I've done 2 hours, so we're going to wind down in a minute. So let's leave Lugard there. I'm going to come back and show you a little bit more. But I love to give you the next phase of Lugard. He then went to East Africa. You think, say now, West Africa, Lugard first? No. It was a crazy captain that was working hard. You now, you don't want to work hard. You think that when they were telling us, and I'm sure they're lying because they have to cook some story so that we don't know that he was working for the government, but they say the government did not know. So when we say support, give us money so that we can be able to, I don't want to respond because I don't want to be diverted from the comment. Who is the leader of the Yoruba leader is Professor Adebanja Akitoye, but not the Yoruba as a whole in Nigeria. If you're looking for the leader, that will be Afenifere. And I guess that answers your question, because I know you just asked because maybe some of you are new to this platform. So on the self-determination is Professor Adebanji Akintoye. But when you are talking about the leader of Yoruba, they are fighting each other, the Fashion Roti and the Baba Adebanjo. And I had the privilege to meet Baba Adebanjo when I went to Nigeria. But we hope that our leaders, they can come in one formation and stop us and say, we are asking Tinubu to give us a new constitution, restructure Nigeria. We don't need any one of them. Let our kings give us the directives. Let our leader come in one formation. And to be honest with you, Nigeria will collapse. All your politicians that have these G5 gun that they carry, I'm telling you, they will kill maybe 500,000, but the remaining 4.5 million will finish them. 5 million Yoruba people will come out on the street today. We shut down Nigeria tonight. I will join you within 72 hours. It will not be up to that. Within 72 hours. But we are not ready yet. So let's go to East Africa as Lugard was moving. So I'm going to go start reading because the explanation is the one that is taking too long. But I got to explain because Ukmanua Kali ni background anytime soil. So after leaving Nyasa land in April in 1889, Lugard accepted a position with the Imperial British East African Company. So let me explain what was happening. These were companies working on behalf of Britain, you know, to pack everything together and send it to Britain. Just as we know about, how many of you know about Royal Niger Company? Please, if you don't know, put it, my wife don't put that. How many of you knows about Royal Niger Company? If you don't know, say, yes, I don't know. If you know, don't worry. So there was another one called the Imperial British East African Company. And according to what we know, the Imperial British East African Company was a commercial association founded to develop African trade in the areas controlled by the British Empire. Oh, Mr. Taiwo, no, I don't know. Okay, we will tell you a little bit more about the Royal Niger Company. The Royal Niger Company is similar to the Imperial British East African Company. So whatever Tibanka is saying, just look at it reverse. It's the same thing with the Royal Niger Company. It was set up to operate on behalf of British Empire to get as much of what they can get, you know, within that time, and then ship it out of Nigeria, out of what is known as Nigeria anyway. So the Imperial British East African Company, known as IBEAC, was a commercial association. It's like we now have Google, we have eBay, we have YouTube, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have TikTok. So imagine that these companies, you know that most of them are also operating in Nigeria because some of you are watching me from Nigeria. So it's the same thing that was happening then. So it's like setting up a company. Let me even tell you that Church of England, Church of England, and the whole Church of England was involved in slave trade. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell it. You know today is Easter Sunday. Church of England, the Church of England, they were involved in slave trade. Slave. They invested money there because it was benefiting them. Just as you too, they pay. You know, some of you are playing Bet Niger. I don't encourage you to bet, but a lot you want to double the money. So Church of England too investing in there. Even as I just read now, even Scotland, their own Church of Scotland was also in. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. Moki Grandma Felicia. Keke Okus Moki. So anybody I'm trying to be calm because sometimes we have to be calm so that the message can sink in. So you can continue. So, but what they've done is they sold it. That's another program for another day. But let's focus on this. The Imperial British East African Company. And please don't say that, Koiki, you keep going back. Because sometimes I read people say, because we got to explain to people. Somebody just said the Royal Niger Company. And these people will support. So there is 5 million Yoruba in just... No. Where did you get that? There is about 40 million Yoruba in Nigeria. Where did you get 5 million? There's not 5 million. No. Easy Oshiwanibe. Only Shege honor. Good evening to you, soldier. I cite you. Thank you so much. So let's no. How can it be 5 million? According to the statistics, it's about 35 to 40 million Yoruba people in Nigeria. Let's focus anyway. The company was in. This thing is sweet. The company that I just talked about now was incorporated in London on the 18th of April 1888 and was granted royal charter by Queen Victoria on the 6th of September 1888. I will never say 5 million. How will I say 5 million? Probably you didn't get what I was saying. We are more than 5 million in Nigeria. I didn't say 5 million Yoruba people. You probably didn't get what I said. Ebami corrected because I didn't get what he's trying to say there. Anybody that understands what he's saying, please help me to respond to. No, he's not even talking about the petition. I think this is a new person. He doesn't understand what is going on because most people don't know what is going on in Nigeria. And sometimes, you know, so let's move forward anyway. Where are we? So Lugard arrived in Mombasa. And I believe Mombasa is in Kenya. You don't know what is happening in Nigeria. Okay. All right. Sit back and just enjoy it. You'll catch up along the line. Mombasa is a coastal city in the southeastern Kenya, along the Indian Ocean. It was the first capital of British East Africa before Nairobi was elevated to capital status in 1907. There was nothing called Nigeria at the time. It now serves as the capital of Mombasa County. So, Lugard found himself in Mozambique, now Otiwagbere, East Africa. So Queen Victoria granted this company, even gave them royal charter. Also, do you know that when, at least I know about that, how many people know Arrods? How many people have heard about Arrods in London? It's on Kensington High Street, a very beautiful place. Arrods have the British crest. That means that the British, the Kensington, they can buy things from Arrods and use in the palace. You know, they have to be very careful where they're buying stuff from, but they gave them, you know, the crest. And anywhere where the crest that means you have access for them to buy things from there. So, which was exactly what they were doing. Okay, what I was saying is that if we have, okay, get Eshegon Yami Comfort. What I said was 5 million Yoruba people, if we come out of the 35 million on the streets of Nigeria today, we can demand for the complete collapse of Nigeria without a gunshot. That was what I said, yes. So in Timoson, near brother me, I said that we need 5 million people to come out on the street for protest. And it's possible because in UK, the total number of people coming out every weekend since the war between Palestine and Israel, I think it's about average of over 2 million people every Saturday. 2 million, if not more. So we can do the same thing. And we can use that to demand a complete shutdown of Nigeria. So let us move swiftly. Somebody say even 1 million would do. But I always say 5 million because I know we'll probably get about 2 million. The rest 3 million would drop along the line. So that is where you were getting the 5 million. So I'm giving us the background to Lugard that created Nigeria. So in case you're wondering what is all this, you know, it was in East Africa. So let's move swiftly. So he left East Africa, and then this is where the early colonial service. So we're going now to Nigeria. Let's leave the East Africa because that one is not really our own, but it's at the background. In 1894, now let's listen to the Royal Niger Company. In 1894, the same Lugard that was from Hong Kong, remember that he couldn't get a wife, the wife ditched him, he started again, he went to Africa. The same Lugard in 1894 was now dispatched by the Royal Niger Company. Remember that we were telling you about the East Africa. So the Royal Niger Company was a master-Stanley company chartered by the British government in the 19th century. Our 21st century, listen. It was formed in 1879 as the United African Company, and it was renamed to National African Company in 1881, but it was to Royal Niger Company in 1886. So this Royal Niger Company was used as a propeller, as the company to work on behalf of British government in Nigeria to move goods and services back to UK. So this is how Lugard found himself in what is known as Nigeria today. It was what dispatcher was Ibeni. Thank you so much, Mrs. Oluremi Ogabi Kilanko, and came to say, very well done, Koikimedia, for the hard work you're doing. Thank you so much for the super chat. In 1894, Lugard was dispatched by the Royal Niger Company to Bogu. Bogu is a region in the northwest Nigeria and in the northern Republic of Benin. It was partitioned between Britain and France. Remember, we talked about the 1884 Berlin Conference when they were partitioning every part. So reason tertiary Benin away from Nigeria today is because it was partitioned. So tẹ́bá wonder pé Koiki wọ́n sọ Yorùbá ní Benin, kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? 1884 ní conference kan tó ń ṣe ní Berlin, òun ni wọ́n pín sí méjì. So France gba Benin, ìyẹn ló ṣe ń sọ Français ní Benin, ìyẹn ló ṣe ń lo CFR, owó Français ló ń lò. Kódà èmi ti dé Benin yẹn rí, gbogbo tó ń lò níbẹ̀ wọ́n máa import ẹ̀ wá láti France, at least majority of everything they're using, just like báwa náà ṣe import. But ìdí táwa ṣe ń sọ Gẹ̀ẹ́sì, English, is because Britain ló colonize àwa. All this was happening, and you are now saying we should stick to that system of government that never favored us, because part of Ọ̀yọ́ empire náà ní Benin, but nígbà tó ti partition ẹ̀. So nígbà tó gbé Lugard dìde, Lugard came to what is called Benin. It was partitioned between Great Britain and France by the Angola-French Convention of 1898. The people of Bogu are known as Bariba or Ogawa, where he secured the treaties with kings and chiefs who acknowledged the sovereignty of the British company while reducing the influence of other colonial powers. From 1896 to 1897, Lugard took charge of an expedition to Lake Ngami. Lake Ngami is an endorheic lake in Botswana, north of Kalahari Desert. It is seasonally filled by Tog River, an affluent of Okavogo River system flowing out of the western side of Okavongo in Delta. It is one of the fragmental remains of the ancient Lake Magadikagdi. Sorry for all the pronunciation if I don't get it right. Let's move forward. So we were told that Lugard took charge of that expedition in the modern day Botswana on behalf of the British West Chartered Company. Every time we talk about this company, these are companies that were operating on behalf of Britain around the world during that era. It was now recalled to Ngami by the British government and then sent to West Africa, where it was commissioned to raise a native force to protect British interest in the hinterland of Lagos Colony and Nigeria against French aggression, because there was friction between Britain and France. France. They were it. That is why they have to say, look, why are we killing each other? Today now, instead of us to form one block, Igbo, Biafra, Southeast, Southwest, Middle Belt, Hausa, and say we are going. No, we can't form that unity to dissolve Nigeria, because every one of these ethnic indigenous people are criminals. The politicians And some of us are also eating from underneath as well. So we love the way Nigeria is, and that means that it becomes embodiment to many other people that are saying, let's go. No, because the Yoruba are enjoying part of it. We have them in Senate, we have Hausa, we have even the Peter Obi Criminal Labour Party. Go and see them now. They cannot defend the padding of the budget. They are part of the criminal gangs. So they use politics. They use a labor movement like that evil shortman devil called himself, the former Edo governor. You know, he was a comrade. They call him comrade. He was in the Labour Party movement. Give him his name, Kiloruko again. That shortman devil, part of the APC guys. Kiloruko was a former Edo State governor. Kiloruko again. He was part of the Labour. He used to be a Labour comrade before he became the governor. They become very powerful. And the moment they enter there, they have money, they buy guns, just like Amosu bought so much gun to protect himself on the seat while he was the governor. When he left, he did not align with Dapo Abiodun. He returned all the gun to the police. I remember his name now. Edoni Boboyen. Oshiomole Eshegoni, Mr. Shegono. That one is another. This is how they start to. They say they are fighting for the people. Union. He became the governor. Oshiomole. Oli. Another bomb bastard like that. And there are so many of them like that from the Benue. Even the one where we thought say he was fighting for the people. I interviewed him before. What's his name? The former Benue governor. He want to be. When they leave governor, they want to come back as senator. That one, where was the Benue State? I interviewed him. I asked him so many questions, he couldn't answer me then. They are criminals, okay? From Plateau, every one of them, including the Yoruba, every one of them. So we now know that Lugard, which is now where it gets entrusted. Benny Omole, Oshiomole. Benny, it is King Awai, another criminal guy. If you see Oshiomole, tell him he's a criminal guy. He started as a Labour Party. Mukiawa Margaret, Ibijoke. We're almost there. I know this program, has dragged the law, but we have to give you that background a little bit. So I'm just going to read quickly. After relinquished command of the West African Frontline Force, when they say frontline force, these are not people where they give people, the people where they carry guns. So when you see Biafra saying, we will carry guns and defend ourselves, the Yoruba are not bold enough to come and say that because we are scared. Koiki, don't talk about guns. Oh, hey, guns. Guns scared. No. Don't let us talk about guns. Oh, we are intelligent people. Frontline force. The moment Lugard relinquished command of the West African Frontier Force, Lugard was appointed High Commissioner. Remember that he has been fighting. He had a good history. So he was capable. They knew that they'd have to use him. Mukiawa Grace Olushoto. Oshiomole, the baddest shotman demon. Yes, Governor Autumn. I interviewed him before. They are all the same. That one was like, Buhari, Fulani. He chopping home. He don't go now. We don't hear anything about him anymore. Then they go and recruit again. They look for another young criminal guy, just like Wike is fighting Fubara in Rivers State. The one with the train. The moment you will be surprised very soon. They go knock their head together now. Yaya Bello and the one in Kogi State. That's what they do. May God bless the soul of Akeredolu. He did not want to leave power. Eventually, Ayetidiwa don't become governor now. They were hitting each other like, Akeredolu, sign now. You are not feeling very well. Sign now. Give us the power. Akeredolu say, no. Let me sit in Ibadan and be following what is happening in Ondo State. Because we realized that Akeredolu's wife was injecting what he wanted to take out because he knew that the husband was dying. Instead of them to say, I just resigned. We saw the Irish minister resign just not too long ago. Another one, what's here to show you? The Northern Ireland, one of their leader, they accused him for rape. He resigned. Africa, no resign. No, if you resign, we are in problem. It's all about them. They are selfish. They love that. You see, our politicians love the way British set it up because They are part of the game. And the Mumu, we are fighting each other on social media, fighting it. Why we should stand together and say enough is enough, let us go. Some say no, let's just abuse each other on social media. While the politicians, they drink champagne, even they bring more girls for them. From you, I won't be surprised that Igbo politician will be sleeping with Yoruba. Emma Binufon, you know, I don't like to use those kind of phrases, but we know that's what happened. They will use Yoruba girls and sleep with another Igbo politician, senator. They go sleep with Yoruba women. Yoruba politician, they go say now Hausa girls they like, bring the one where they from, bring them there. They do all kind of shit in Ashurok there, in Nikon, Sheraton, all those hotels. They all have rooms that are booked for the whole year where they do all their shenanigans. But me and you, where they look for 10 kobo, and they say donate now, people don't donate. Only small people they give us money. Those ones they have boku money, they can buy anything, they can look after themselves. They don't care whether we fight, we curse each. If we like curse each other on social media, they care less. They drink champagne, they go to party to. We see them now. They see them when they go party, they rub minds, they even they share girlfriends. They share girlfriends. Because they love the way. There's no more Lugard. We now have Oshiomole. We have Benga Daniel. We have Yaya Bello. We have Yayi. Yayi left Alimosho, a criminal politician. He then went back to Ogun State to start again, just like Lugard started. Then, because Yayi wants to be governor. You won't be surprised. 2020, they want to chase that Akpabio way, but Akpabio will say, no, that's not the agreement. I say for 8 years. It's because we have tolerated them too long. And they know, they're watching me. They know that we are the one telling you the truth. But you are stupid, that cannot think with your brain, they will say, don't listen to Koiki. He's trying to bring civil war to Nigeria. As if there have never been civil war before in Nigeria. Did the world come to an end? And when there's another one today, I bet you many countries will not back Nigeria because the world has moved forward. So we know that after relinquished command of the West African Frontier Force, Lugard was appointed the High Commissioner of the newly created, did you hear that? Newly created Protectorate of Northern Nigeria. It was just to manage Northern Nigeria. He ended up now joining us together for a business purpose. Nobody agreed. We didn't call a conference. No, this country, if they want to do meter reading in your road, they know they call consultation. They know they call consultation. How come they did not call for consultation with the owners of the region, whether we want to live together? Okay, they didn't call us together. They joined it together. Let's untangle it now. Nigerians say, no, let's remain in this forceful marriage. If we like, we kill ourselves. If we like ourselves. Let's just remain in there and do whatever. And whoever survive in the animal kingdom. And that has been going on for the last 63 years. Hey, now good, see, destroy regional. Okay, we know. Since then, why Yoruba people no come out and say, we no do again? Tinubu is there right now. He's a Yoruba man. Why has he not dissolved the Nigeria so that we can return back to who we are before 1913 and not before 1960, because 1960 was a fraud. He's not going to do that because Tinubu too, like he said, I go take picture, go to read this paper. As if he didn't read it. He don't read anything. Take my picture, put it on social media so that Koiki can say I'm reading this paper. Even they told us that Tinubu they sleep for 3 o'clock. Tinubu where we say we go different places. You don't doze off. Koiki is because Tinubu is old. Let's bring young people like you. The one where Showore say in a contest for Showore no contest, in a vote for Showore. They come back and let's do it together. Showore came. Buhari wanted to kill him for 5 years. He only survived. So Lugard became very powerful. Now that we know that it was only when they created a newly protectorate of Northern Nigeria. So how did Northern Nigeria now become Nigeria? No, how did the protectorate of the North became one block when everything was separate? Is because of the selfish interest of certain groups of people around the world. So I don't know what Lugard dreamt of. I don't know how Lugard dreamt of something and say, let me join them together. No, he knew that the Northern Protectorate was not making any money. They were shit hole. Just like they are not making money today in Nigeria, they bring money from the south, southeast. Then imagine the people who own crude oil now. They're watching me right now. The north don't collect them. They donate some as well for some Igbo people. They give Yoruba people as well. Everybody can't lynch onto the Niger Delta oil. And today, killings is now going back to back. People are now dying. There's no health care. There's no facility. You will now be wondering, are you sure that they are making crude oil from here? No, they are making crude oil. It's just that those that are meant to deliver, they create NDDC, Niger Delta. That one another criminal organization. Kinikon NDDC. Everybody just want chop. Eventually, people like Ken Saro-Wiwa came out, started shouting, this is not good, oh. Ogoni people are not happy, oh. You cannot be taking our oil. Shell, la la la. Abaja say, who be those ones they shout? From where to where? From where to where this one they shout? They say they be Ogoni. Abaja say they be, go kill every one of them. Go kill all of them, just like Obasanjo say, wipe everybody from, is it Bayelsa State? They say Obasanjo say, kill everybody where you did there. They kill soldier. Who they kill soldier? Kill every one of them. The same thing they went to do in Delta State. And you think that Nigeria will survive? With a joke. Let's come back again. Now, I will now take you to the Northern Nigeria Protectorate. The Northern Nigerian Protectorate, like I said, started from 1900, 1900 till 1914. It was just for 14 years. But what led to the change? We could keep Nigeria. All this thing, what will you do? We could keep Nigeria. Yeah, keep Nigeria. Who's begging you not to keep Nigeria? But we are going. You can go with them to keep United States of Nigeria, like Akinwumi Adesina is proposing. The protectorate span, like I told you, 660,000 square meters, 255,000 square miles or square kilometers, and included the Emirate of Sokoto Caliphate. The Fulani don't overrun them. They are coming to overrun you as well. They say make a they play. You've been content for me here. Shegwano, thanks so much for the super chat. I love you so much, sir. Mr. Luwatola Adebanjo, thank you so much. Mr. Fa, Saro-Wiwa blood is still disturbing Nigeria till today, just like the NSA, just like the Oyibo. Eshegoni, Mr. Alani Arowolo, Benny, Oshiomole. Mr. Femi Adeyemi, thank you so much. Max say maybe 5 million regarding those you asked to come out. Yes, I probably, I'm just seeing your comment because I'm reading from another. So yes, thank you so much. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI. Now me go open that your medulla oblongata so that you can listen to what we are saying. We don't fight each other. We can curse sometimes, but sometimes we go talk to you in a way that you would understand. Bear with me, is my machine that is working behind. Lugard now was the first High Commissioner of the Northern Protectorate. There was nothing called Nigeria as at 1900 when it was newly formed. They don't slave trade, done so many wicked things to us. They now created. Can I create a country? Can I take people and go to Manchester and we create Yoruba Oduduwa language or Yoruba country in there? Is it possible? Can I go to somebody's farm now and say, we own this territory, and they will not bring out Chaka and say, what? You this black man, what are you doing here? Just as they killed Stephen Lawrence. White men killed Stephen Lawrence in 1993. Can I create a country here? Is it possible for me to go and create a country in this country? And the King Charles will not be asking me, who is this young man? Remember you came to this country in 1998? And I'll tell them the same thing, that you came to our own territory as well. Don't you remember? Mima. So what we are trying to say is that we are not asking for too much. Just dissolve this country. That is all we're asking for. Everybody saying, no, how are we going to dissolve it? Is it you that will be the president? You'll be Mumu. Can't you be the prime minister of Yoruba land? And it's interesting that I read, I'm going to bring this in. I read Adeyinka grandson post on Twitter. And he's already proposing that he wants to be the new prime minister if we go through the parliamentary system as they have been talking about. Interesting. The protectorate, I'm talking about the Northern Protectorate, Lugard or Frederick Lugard, who suppressed slavery, tribal raiding, created a system of administration built around native authorities. You think Lugard was a good man? He was not. They were all doing what they were doing for the interest of the British Empire. So your politicians are now doing the bidding that Lugard was doing during that 19th century. So you would think that in 21st century, you will have a better life. It will be, no, you cannot have a better life because your politicians are the one doing the bidding. How many people bid? I bid a lot on eBay. You go to look at the thing. Who go winner? And I love it. On the last seconds, you go just put your own money. But sometimes you lose. So we are people that live in denial. So they are bidding on us. So we are thinking, hey, we go winner. Okay, let's try again. 4 years is around the corner. Every 4 years, people are bidding on us, including me. Every 4 years, they bid on our life, bid on us. And we are hoping that one day we go win them. The game masters, the one we understand the game more than me and you, every 4 years. So we lost 2023. So everybody's waiting for 2027. We go bid again. Let's bid. Bidding. As election they come, you go to see the numbers. APC. But now Labour Party win this side. You think Tinubu is stupid? You think he did not have a mission and vision to be president? So you think Tinubu will bring the Gambari, the Fulani Buhari, when you understand nothing? Remember that when Buhari came in, people are now even, that video is there, it's just I'm using this phone. Yoruba people are now loving Buhari more than Tinubu now. Unbelievable. It's because they were bidding on us. We become bidding. They were bidding every 4 years. So everybody's ready again. How many people are keeping their PVC for 2027? Be honest. You still have your PVC. You never destroy them because you go vote. They go give you 5,000. You know, what on Yoruba nation? Koiki. They're not the bag of rice again. Who go give them bag of rice? Nobody gives any bag of rice. They give them peanuts. Lugard then decided that enough of the Northern Protectorate. All that now ended on the 1st of January 1914. That is where the Wahala, the Idamu, the disunity, we were living separate before. We were still having issues. Imagine that we were all staying separately. We were still having all kind of issues. Lugard that lives thousands and thousands away now come say, not that I had everybody together. And he did that. And 110 years down the line, we will not love each other. We will not see unity. There will never be peace. Peace will not reign in Nigeria. Inshallah, Lashedumari, in Jesus' name. Because the Onyibo man we put us together knew that there will never be peace among us, because we are all different, beautiful, created by the gods of whoever created them, but not to be joined together and call us Nigeria. Kò ní sí peace in Nigeria until Nigeria dissolve. Anybody that pray for peace in Nigeria, you will not find that peace. That peace will not be inside that entity until it gets dissolved. Kò ní sí peace níbẹ̀. If you like, pray from thy kingdom come that you have done for 63 years. It will be bloodbath if care is not taken. Because the innocent souls are crying, and their cry has gone to the gods of the Yoruba land, that enough is enough. So if you like, let your celestial church pray for Nigeria. They will be kidnapping them, just like they kidnapped that Woli in Ogun State. He was praying to God, but the God did not save him when the Fulani entered that church and took him away. Then Olori Buruku Nigerian police say, we were the one that bring him out. Until I was reading on Fisayo Shoyombo yesterday that Nigerian police did not rescue him. He ran away during the capture. But the other man that is there, they are still trying to negotiate him. Continue to look for a peace. There will never be peace in Nigeria. Even if British government asks me, I will tell them the same thing, that there will never be peace in Nigeria until Nigeria gets dissolved. Because Lugard knew that we cannot have peace when he was bringing the Northern Protectorate to join it with the Southern Protectorate. 3 people that did not speak same language, they don't understand anything. And you are not fighting that Alan Oyeme, Air Peace, brought an aircraft to London on one Nigeria, but Yoruba people say, no, 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 no. That outfit does not represent us. It is the Igbo outfit, and you want peace. Kò ní dá fún yín, ẹ ní rí peace. Kò ní sí peace. And that is where we're going to be ending it tonight. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI. Go and fast 63 years again. Kò ní sí peace in Nigeria. The only time we will have peace of mind is when that union, that we don't even know the spiritual being of it, because we don't know what Lugard with the wife were doing jiggy inside their room. We don't know the spell of what they created, and we are looking for peace. Do you know what? Do you know the spiritual thing that they make? Don't you know that the Igbo people have their own spiritual being as well? Let's get out of this mess. They're now telling me to shut up because they're looking for peace in Nigeria. Lugard created something from a spiritual being. Spiritual being, and we are all struggling all over the world. Our body immune is not working the way it should be. Some of us that are saying that are revision. Even as a Christian, because some of you that are seeing the vision is because the God of the Yoruba land still wants you to be seeing something. We don't know the cost that they put on Nigeria, that we are all suffering today. And that is why the prophet of men of God that are still talking from the southeast to the southwest are saying that Nigeria flag is in blood. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI. Enjoy the rest of your Easter Sunday. And as I leave you, remember to pray for a total dissolution of the crazy country created by Lugard. The man that couldn't find love. Lugard could not find love. He came to Africa, created evil. You are now looking for love from the Lugard that could not create love for himself. You are now looking for love in Nigeria. Continue to be looking for love. That love, you will not find it. Thank you so much. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI. I appreciate every one of you. If it's your first time, don't get hyped up about Nigeria. Enjoy it while it lasts. If you can steal money, if you can join the government and take is part of your national cake. But we are going home. We will continue to plead with the gods of the Yoruba land to intervene so that it will open your skulls and get the message that we are not fighting each other as Yoruba people, as Igbo people, Hausa people. We are just fighting the spiritual intake that locked us together that we need to expose. You don't need to like Simon Ekpa, but just give him the support and pray for him so that he can have the vision and the mission to break away Nigeria, even as Tinubu is there. Pray for Sunday Igboho to have the strength, the capacity, so that we can rally around him and pray for whoever is out there again, fighting for the cause, to free the bondage that has been kept on us for 110 years. That is when we will find peace. Anything less than that, there will never be peace in Nigeria. Good night.